Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners budget hearings for August 19th. We're going to have 4 presentations today and discussions. And I'm calling the meeting to order. Let's call the roll.
Taylor. Here. Long.
Here.
Powell. Smith Charles.
Present.
Erickson Galt. Here. Spiz.
Here.
Gershenson. Here. Markham.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item is our budget presentations. But before we get started on the departments, Cheryl Johnson from Fiscal would like to address us and just kind of clarify some things for us before we get started today. So,
Hello,
floor is
Cheryl
yours.
Johnson, Deputy CFO. What I've handed out to the commissioners is a correction to pages 46 to 50 in the budget book. The big one? In the big one. So the story about those summary pages is we've been trying to do something with those summary pages for 3 years. So they're new in 24, and it was just the expenditures, and we were trying to show the expenditures by fund type. So you could see how many expenditures were general fund, how many were special revenue, how many were enterprise fund, and we tried to break it out that way as a new report for us. We couldn't get the revenue piece to work that year. So last year, we changed it up a little bit. Again, just do expenditures. We had a new budgeting software, and we're trying to cram stuff in little spaces and trying to get the report that we really want it to show. And so that's how it ended up last year, and it was just expenses. So this year, we figured out the revenue piece, and apparently we liked it so much we put it in there twice for each year. So what I've handed out to you is the revenue piece and the expenditure piece. So the revenue pages, I've left them all together for continuity in your book, but the revenue pages are appropriate in the book. Those are the correct ones. The ones that say expenditure are not correct, and those are the ones attached to the revenue that I've given all of you. We will also have those adjustments put online so that when someone looks it up online, they'll have the correct pages, and then obviously we will also incorporate those into the adopted budget when it's time to do that. I wanted to just kind of talk to everybody a little bit about why we're here. You know, when we spend a lot of time working on the budget, and we meet with all the departments a couple of times, and we put all these numbers together. We've got a 400-page book that we put together, and why do we do that? Just so we know how much to spend? Well, no, there's some statutory regulations that require us to put together a budget that will support the mills that we're going to tax the Oakland County citizens. So we have to be able to tell them, I need this many mills from you, like 3.6, so that I can spend it on these things, and that's what this book represents. So the only thing that's really required to be in this book is last year's actuals, so that you can see where they came from. This year's adopted, this year's amended or forecasted where we think we're going to end the year, and then what we're requesting for 26. But in the county, we do it a little different. We do 26, 27, and 28 because we're trying to look at what's down the road so that we can figure out if we're on the right trajectory for what's happening. The additional years of actuals we put in there, we started doing that this year. You guys noticed we did it in the adopted last year, and now we put it in the recommended. It will be in the adopted again. It's so that we can see a picture, like a 4 or 5 year picture. This is where we're going. This is where we came from. This is what we're actually doing. So that's the whole point of putting this giant book of all these numbers together, and putting those additional columns in there help you see the direction we're going. So I'm aware that the software that we have does not allow us to compound our rate increases, But what's going to happen in 26, we don't know. I mean, 27, we don't know. And 28, we don't know. So we put a placeholder in. It doesn't compound. It's not necessarily that significant. What's more significant is if we know we're replacing a whole series of laptops in 27, we're going to want to see that in our 27 budget. We're going to ask the departments to tell us those kind of big things. If we know we have to decommission the steam tunnels or whatever, we know that those are the kind of things we want to look in the budget, so as we're looking down the road, we know what's coming up. So I just kind of wanted to clarify those few things that are in there. And I also have copies of, if anyone's interested, the Unified Form of County Government. It's Act 139 of 1975, no, 73. This is how the government, this is how the county is organized. So these are the rules and regulations from the law that we have to obey when we put all these things together and bring it before you all. So if anybody wants a copy of that, I have it. I do have extra copies. I'll make sure I give them to the staff so everybody gets it. If anybody has any questions, you know where I'm sitting.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Cheryl at the moment?
See if I ran out.
You good, Mr. Spitz? Okay.
Madam
Okay,
Chair,
that's fine.
Madam Chair, here I am. My voice is low. So we're not decommissioning steam tunnels though, is that the point? Because that would be.
That was an example. We're not decommissioning anything. It's just an example of like those big things. Like if you know, Aaron, if you know in your house that in 2 years, you're going to have to replace the roof. When you're looking at your home budget, you're thinking, okay, in 2 years, I'm going to have to come up with this money to replace that roof because I think it's going to start leaking. Or because someone told you you've got some holes in it or we had a bad storm. It's the same kind of concept of looking at a 5 year so we know what's coming up.
All right. Is everybody loaded up?
Almost.
Okay. Okay. All right, our first budget hearing today is the, excuse me, Public Communications Department. So I want to welcome Teresa Recinto, sorry.
That's right, thank you.
And her team.
That's right.
Whenever you're ready.
And then clicker, just the right arrow? Okay. Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to talk today about the proposed budget for the Department of Public Communications and a chance to talk about the work we do supporting residents and businesses, internal departments, and elected offices as well. Our main priority is amplifying the programs, services, and resources of our wonderful county. Wanted to start off by introducing the team, the leaders on our team. This will be high level. I'm going to start with Steve Dorsey. He's our Creative Operations Officer. Steve is responsible for brand management and making sure that everything stays aligned with the county, and he oversees the video and graphics artist teams. Next is Kathy Gray. She's our Senior Communications Advisor. Kathy writes speeches and talking points and is really wanting to ensure that we have one voice for the county. She oversees the writers and also the media monitoring. Caitlin Keeler is responsible for strategy and planning and events. She has oversight of our county website as well as our DPC liaison team. Bill Mullen is on a much needed vacation. He is our public information officer and he manages our relationships with the media. He oversees the press releases, the story pitching, the press events, and he does our crisis management. He's our lead for that. Our team also consists of several community engagement experts. Tiffany Moncrief-Luke oversees the community engagement representatives. They are in the field taking information directly to the residents and to stakeholders. And Jim Ellison, who also is not here today, he's our Chief of Older Adult Services, and he works directly with our older residents who are 60 and older. This is going to happen to me. Need a technical assistant. No. Oh, looks like something happened here. Try again. There we go. This is our org chart. We're a team of 24, and we are led by Deputy County Executive Megan Sellers. I'm going to actually flip through these because I want to spend our time talking about the work we actually do, but happy to answer those questions a little bit later. Some key milestones for DPC. We were launched in 2021 thanks to a board resolution that you all approved. And we're still in our infancy, celebrating 4 years this month as a department. Wanted to call out also that in January of 2023, this board also approved the Older Adult Services Department. And so we're excited that we're able to reach our seniors directly. I'll call out that last summer, we launched what we call a DPC liaison process. What we're doing is assigning a DPC representative for each department that we have in the county, as well as elected offices. It's an opportunity to get ahead of the game when it comes to some of the planning, to collaborate, and to have just that one-on-one connection so you know exactly who to go to start the process for communications needs. Earlier this year, we started more communications directly with you. We started a bi-weekly report where we list some of the events that are happening in the county, as well as some of the campaigns, just keeping you all up to speed on that. Later on this year, we're going to be hosting a bunch of town halls specifically targeted to seniors. They will be in your districts, and we're hoping that you'll come and join us and have an opportunity to reach seniors directly. So often people want to know, what is the Department of Public Communications? And public is key in that title. We reach the public, we reach residents, businesses specifically and directly. We do that by sharing Oakland County news and information, highlighting interest in people and businesses and county programs, and supporting the county executive, the 30 departments across the county, as well as the elected offices. This is another, gives you more information about what we do. It's in your packet, and you can reference that later. So when I talk about reaching the public, we do that in many ways. The main way we do that is through the media, whether that's TV, radio, podcasts, traditional print. Bill Mullen does a fantastic job of getting these headlines that you see here. This is just a sampling of the work that he does. Another way we reach the public is through social media. We have been really making a concerted effort to make sure that the information that we put on social is relevant and timely. We are seeing our followers increase. We're doing some fun things, like on our LinkedIn account now, we are highlighting employees, giving a sense for the public what kinds of jobs are out there if they're interested someday coming to work for the county. I want to talk a little bit about our scope. We do lots of things. And so on any given week, we're posting about 100 social media posts a week, giving information about what's happening in the county, campaigns, events, things like that. On any given month, we're taking about 30 requests from internal support needed for communications needs. We do about 80 videos a month, various things from the Festival of Flight to Pride, Juneteenth events. We're always working on things like that. We are responsible for supporting about 40 events a year, and about 80 requests come in through our hotline a month from residents seeking everything from support on housing, health information, seniors needing resources. So that's what our team does. High level, just wanted to talk about the projects that we work on, because often when people think of DPC, they think of state of the county. We do so much more. One of the things that we do is we work on reports for management and budget, for instance. There's a PAFA report that we put out. We help with the ARPA report. We do some annual reports for some departments. We support with events, as I mentioned before, and then the county website is our source of truth. We're responsible for that as well. But this gives you a highlight of all of the categories. I mentioned State of the County. We are responsible for planning that event from start to finish. I believe many of you have attended. engaging older adult services. It's a real top priority for us, and we are focusing on that demographic through events that we attend in the community, as well as some of the brochures you see here. Encore comes out about twice a year, and we have a resource guide that we take to all the events that provides them with all the necessary benefits that they need. We've been supporting the Board of Commissioners with the program that you brought to the county, the Savvy Debt Relief Program. We've been helping to amplify that program and to bring information to residents and county employees who need it. One of the fun events that we get to work on, this initiative I should say, is Acorn to Oak. It's very rare that we get to work directly and do things that benefit the youngest residents, so that's a fun one for us. And you may have heard about this, I believe, in one of the earlier budget hearings, but we are working on a public service announcement with the animal shelter. We're very excited about that. There's a link in your packet that you can get a sneak preview, but this is going to help us, we hope, get some animals adopted and encourage people to buy some dog licenses. As you know, Pontiac Redevelopment Project is going to be a priority for us for the next couple years. We're responsible for making sure that that messaging gets out to the public. We have a website that's dedicated to this, that's constantly evolving, and we will be keeping you apprised on the changes as well in our biweekly newsletter. And one thing that we're really excited about is the improvements that we're making to the county website, making it more accessible for people with disabilities and for people who have language barriers. Now on our county website, you can go and click on any item that you want, and it can change into the language of your choice. There's 60 languages that we have that you can choose from. So that's just a sampling of some of the work that we do. I just wanted to provide some examples. So we really are a cost-conscious department. We have lots of equipment that we're able to share with departments so they don't have to go and buy a step and repeat, for instance, or buy a camera. They can borrow it from us, and we have to make sure we get it back. But we do that. We also, when we're going out to bid for projects that we work on, because we do lots of print projects, we make sure that we get multiple bids. And then we work with partners like IT and HR and economic development on some county-wide software tools that not only benefit our department, but can be a support for other departments as well. And then I'll just wrap up by saying that there's a lot of things on the horizon for our department. We are going to continue to build strong relationships with our CVTs. We right now work on a basis where we help provide them with the information that they can provide their constituents and their residents. We provide toolkits on things like Savvy, the upcoming changes to Oak Alert, so that they have all the information that's coming directly from the county and they can provide that information to the public. We're going to continue, as I said, lead the messaging on the Pontiac Redevelopment Project, and we're working with IT. They're going to be seeking a proposal for an enterprise-wide tool for social media. And because we are the Department of Communications, we do some monitoring of some of the other social accounts that we don't manage outright, and so this is going to make that easier for us. And then we're going to continue to support the board flag proposal. We have 2 members of our team who are appointed members of that work group. So we're busy, and our portfolio is broad and expansive, and we continue to grow. That's all I have. I'll open it up for questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
I will open it to the floor. I'll start with Commissioner Taylor, followed by Commissioner Long.
Thank you. Hi. I heard a lot of nice and wonderful things. I don't know if you're aware or not, but I'm a part of the human trafficking team. And I just wondered, what kind of communication, what has the communications department done to help Oakland County combat this human trafficking crisis? Oakland County has been helping a lot. We've notified a lot of the traffickers, letting them know, don't come to Oakland County, we will catch you. But what kinds of things has communications done?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm actually going to
Just repeat the question and your answer, please.
Sure. Come to the mic.
Me repeat the question? Okay.
Sorry.
No, sorry. Questions are good.
I'm going to hand it over to Caitlin Keeler. I believe she...
Hold it for a second, and then it should be on.
Hello.
Okay. Testing?
Got it now? All right, thank you. I'm Caitlin Keeler, Marketing Communications Officer. Thank you, Commissioner Taylor, for the question on how the Communications Department is supporting the Human Trafficking Task Force. Yes. So we have come to the task force a couple times over the last year about some improvements that we could do to the website. So we're in partnership with the board's marketing team and the health team, since they all have hands in it as well. Mm-hmm. Some things we can do to help make the website a lot more visible to the website, and actually the technology that Teresa shared about the accessibility and the translations was one of the questions I believe you brought to us about a year ago, because there is a lot of folks with that speak different languages that are impacted by human trafficking. And one of the things I'm most excited about with that tool, not only are there 60 languages, but if someone whose device, who speaks Spanish as their first language and their whole device is in Spanish, they come right to our website, it's going to be automatically in Spanish for them, because seconds matter. They might be in that bathroom stall and see the human trafficking numbers and where to get more information, come right to our site, it's going to be right in Spanish for them. So that's just one of the many things we're doing. In the past, we've also helped with some amplification of the different social media observances with January Human Trafficking Month, and then working with health and the board's marketing team on just better placement on the website there. So there's some help we've been doing along the way, and looking forward to doing more.
Thank you. Yeah, those are the kinds of things that I wanted you to highlight. I have one other question, then I'm going to leave it up to the rest of the team, and that's for me, it's our safety, not just for the public, but for our departments and everything. So when there's a crisis or something like that, your messaging, how is that sent out to the departments so that everybody is receiving the same message and that it's accurate? And then what you need us to do in cases of emergency, how is that done in your department?
You're talking about crises?
Yes, and emergencies and things
In
of
emergency
that nature.
situations, what does our department do?
Yes.
Like most departments, we do have a continuity of operations plan that we execute once it happens. Bill Mullen on our team, he works directly with the media, so he gets information out to that team. Caitlin on our team works with our digital editorial team, and she gets information directly to that team. They each have a representative for each department, so they're able to get whatever accurate information we have to them, and then it hopefully will get to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Long.
Thank you. So mine is in the line item question on page 283 in the big book, line item 731822, special projects. So I see in 2024 we spent 144,000, but then our unaudited actuals is only about 6,500 for half of the year in 2025, if I'm reading this right. And then we're budgeted for $621,000. So where are these special projects in 6 months going to add up to another? What is it, 617,000, or I don't know, I'm not adding right, $615,000.
I'm not sure, you're talking about our special projects budget line, correct?
Yes, so far in 2025, you've only spent, if I'm reading this right, which I think I am, Cheryl, right, unaudited actuals, 6,498. But we're budgeted for $621,000 and $621,841 for special projects for the rest of the 6 months. And then that's budgeted for 26, 27, 28 also, that amount. And then if you look back, I'm just wondering what the difference is, because when you look back in 24, actuals was 144,000 or 145 about. So I'm just wondering where all this.
I can tell you what we use that budget line for. Part of it is the $400,000 that you all approved for the older adult services. So the 2 Encore additions that we do every year, I believe that comes out to about $150,000 or something like that. That comes out of that project line item, as well as our state of the county. Right now, we're using some of that funding for our Pontiac redevelopment program. 40 under 40 comes out of that line item as well.
And I can tell you, Commissioner Long, that as we were putting the budget book together, we discovered that like the first couple issues of Encore came out of the county exec's budget, so it needs to get moved back into there so that you'll see that dollar value go back up. It was charged to the wrong place.
Okay, so Encore, that didn't go out yet then?
No, that's the older adult
Okay.
It
So
comes
that
out
will-
twice a year.
Oh, does that come out in fall? Am I thinking right, or what?
Got one.
We just got
Yeah,
one in July.
I got one. Was that the Encore? Was
Yes.
that Encore? Okay, I just got one like last week.
And you'll get another one in November, I believe.
Okay, and then how much is that total for that mailing?
It depends on the printer that we use. On average, I believe, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, about 65,000 for printing? Printing alone. Yes, and then there's there's
And
the
then the
postage as
postage.
well. Yes.
The postage is included in there as well.
Okay, I do have to say, I do get phone calls from after that's going out, so it is effective. I think the seniors do read it, so, I mean, I don't necessarily want to do showers, but I was asked to help them with the shower, but, so I directed him to the right resource, but
Yes.
it is effective. I think the seniors do like that piece of mailing, but.
Excellent.
All right, so that's coming out of there, and that, Cheryl, then you think that they're gonna need that 621, we're predicting they need that 621,000 for 26 and 27, right, for placeholder?
Yeah, I believe so. I wasn't in the budget hearings prior to as we were discussing it, but it was in part of the process, so I trust the process.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Smith Charles.
Thank you, Chair. Nice to see everyone. What I wanted to check on were, so which committee do you typically report up to? If you have, I remember some of you coming before EDI before. I'm just curious, are you an EDI group?
I feel like it's whatever happens at the time. Like we've talked to the health department. Is that what you're saying? Sometimes we've gone to the health committee to talk about older adult services and the senior grants.
Okay.
And
Commissioner Spiz gave me a great term, liaison. Who's your liaison committee? So
Oh.
it sounds like it could be any of us at any given time.
Yes.
PIO, I see comes, like today we got a PIO something in our email, and often I'm like, is this a criminal? Like, I don't know, it gives me like a law enforcement, PIO, PO, PPO. So just FYI. And then Encore, I was gonna ask what the name of it was, but thank you, Commissioner, you did mention that. Do you coordinate by chance with the other, I'll call them departments, because when you showed your social media page there with Facebook, I was like, this doesn't look familiar. And so I went and I typed in Oakland County government, and literally like 9 to 15 different pages, from the sheriff to the animal shelter and all of the above. So do you guys work collaboratively? Sometimes we'll attend events that are, quote, on the executive side, and there'll be photographers and media, and I'm like, where is it? I haven't seen it. Where is it? I haven't seen it. So just wondering, it's probably a yes or no question, if you're able to coordinate with those folks.
So our department manages the two sites, the Oakland County brand site, which is the Oakland OakGov, and then we also handle the executives site. And then our team does support the other departments who have social media accounts. We provide training, we help get them on the ground. If we are partnering with them for an event, there'll be some coordination and amplification, for instance, with the Economic Outlook luncheon, for instance. We work with them to coordinate the placement of the social media posts, and we amplify and we share each other's. But for the most part, we're not managing the social media of other departments, correct?
Okay, that's fair. Just a few quick ones here. The website, I don't know that everyone realized it, but I just happened after NACO in July to be on a call with our previous vendor, and he said that we switched our provider for our website. I see a nod. How did you arrive at that? Was it because the contract was up, or services were better? You know, because I haven't really seen a change, and I got some questions.
That's what we're in the middle of. You can speak to it if you
Yeah,
want.
I can test it. I turned it off for a second. Hello? Oh, great. So yes, the contract for the current website is up in next April 2026. So really IT came to us and recommended that we go out to do an RFP process again for when we renew in April 2026. So we just went through a really robust RFP process. We had over 20 companies respond to us, which was a huge amount for this one. And we assembled, a large review team, and then for demos, we reduced it down to 6, and we invited every single department elected official also to give us feedback for those. So that was a recent, the decision was made for which vendor to go with just a couple weeks ago. So I'm assuming you're talking about the current, because they're our current contract. Granicus is our current vendor right now. So that it's not the one before that you're talking to.
I'd have to probably look, but I don't remember seeing an invite to play around with anything, and I love test driving. So any chance, I love to beta test, any chance I get to give some feedback on technology.
Yeah.
My final question just simply is a chatbot. Our search abilities, and I know you're comms and not IT, but I'm just saying the search capability still is terrible. And it's not just Oakland County, it's all governmental bodies. I don't know what it is where you try to search a term and you get everything but what you're looking for. So I'm just curious, are you really leaning into the possibility of a chat bot type of thing? I know we talk about AI and just wanting our data secure and what have you. But where are we with that? Because as you are so wonderfully making things in different languages to be able to support all of our English as second language folks, where do you see that on the horizon?
I was going to send you back to IT because they would be the ones who would drive that, probably with some communication and collaboration with us, but that's not on our list of things to do.
Okay. And then when you are putting together your marketing materials, are you using any AI to create any content? There's no wrong answer.
Right. Well, I'm a former journalist who prides herself in writing her own stuff. And so it's definitely a conversation that we're starting to have. So many people are using AI, and we have to find a way to use it ethically and responsibly. Yeah. And so it's a conversation that's on the table. But as a rule, our department is not actively using AI on a regular basis.
And you haven't been told not to?
No.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gershenson.
Thank you. When you said you're contacted by the public, how does the public know to contact your department?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. We have it on our website. Every time you get
under
one of...
what? What is it under? Under OakGov?
Yes.
And so anybody that goes to OakGov's website, they would go to your department and you would refer them somewhere, or how does that work?
Well, we have hotline numbers. And so I don't know exactly how it looks on our website, but there are phone numbers that leads them to wherever they need to go. Okay. For instance, on the back of the Encore, there's a phone number that leads them directly to our Older Adult Services hotline. Tiffany's team has a phone number. Is the phone number, I don't know where it is on the website, but.
Yes, we have a phone number that we're able to use and actually answer and have with IQ.
Microphone. Can you give Tiffany's a mic?
The question was, when public are reaching out to us, how do we address and how do we respond?
How do they know what number?
Oh yes, we have a hotline phone number that we use within our IQ system that are able to receive the voicemails, and we return those calls and also direct those questions to the correct departments.
Good, because that's one of the things we get the most. I mean, the bureaucracy is so overwhelming to the regular resident that just to get to where they want to be can take, 10 phone calls. The other department that I've heard in the past, and I don't know if you've addressed it, is the Senior Advisory Council, that it's difficult to get to that. So I don't know if you've addressed that.
We have, and I am not sure what the final word was. I think we work with Misha on the board, and also, remember that conversation? It was Misha and it was health, thank you. And so they should now have a clear path to get to the area that they want to get to. Thank you. Yep.
Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Surprisingly, I'm sure you'll all be surprised, I don't have any questions in the book. Mine are more general questions. First one, I'm going to build off Commissioner Taylor's question about human trafficking. In the past, before the website was updated, we used to have on the very front page the number to Polaris for human trafficking at the very top banner. and I know we brought it up in the Human Trafficking Task Force a few times, is to put that number back on, the 1-800 number to Polaire, somewhere in there that's easy for people to get to. So if we could look into that, I would appreciate that.
Thank you.
My second and actually final question, because Commissioner Smith-Charles actually asked the same one I was going to ask, so I do appreciate that. Mine's more of a general question. I see, overall budget's roughly $5.5 million, right, for your department. How does that compare to other departments of counties around Michigan, around the country? Do we know? Because I mean, you guys do a lot of great work from what you presented, and I do appreciate this because this helps me a lot. Because one of my general questions at the beginning was, what exactly do you guys do, right? Which I've asked other people that have come in, other groups, departments that come in front of us, what exactly? Because I know generally, but having a full breakdown of what you do is great, so I do appreciate that, so thank you. So, but how do we compare to other counties around the state of Michigan, around the country, on what you guys do and how do they operate? I mean, what's their budgets? Are we in the ballpark? Are we out of the ballpark? Are we too low? Are we too high? And I'm sure it's not as going to be clear, right? Because there's going to be differences, but I don't know if you guys have looked at that at all, just to see how we're comparing across the country.
We have not, but I recently had a conversation with a counterpart over at Washtenaw. She wanted to get some feedback on how we run our spectacular state of the county, so we're giving them some feedback. And we decided that we're going to just, as a rule, just get together on a quarterly basis. So that's actually a good question that I can ask her the next time I speak, and maybe get with my peers in the other departments or other counties and see. It's a good question.
Right, and be intrigued. I mean, I don't have a problem if, actually I would like to see is that we're like in the top echelon of what we do. We do that in a lot of different departments around the county, and I would expect to see the same in your department based on what you just presented here. But I don't have any data that supports that. It's just my gut feeling that's where we would be. But it also helps us, rate ourselves amongst everybody else.
Yeah.
How good are we doing, or where are areas we can get better at? And I have no problem sharing with other communities either, because it helps them get better faster, which only helps the people within their counties or across the country. So
thanks for the
once you dig
question.
into that, if you have any information you want to share, please do. I'd appreciate it.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any, Commissioner Taylor?
I forgot to ask one that's really important, and I thought maybe Mike was going to ask that one, but what are your performance metrics and how are you tracking them?
Yeah, right now we are focused on just informational. She asked, what are the performance measurements and how are we tracking? We look at things like attendees at events or number of likes and engagement on social media. But one of the things we are talking about, because we're working with Henry Outlaw on our strategic plan for 5 years, getting a dashboard of some sort and being more strategic about how we can measure and get some more specific numbers. So that's on the horizon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gershenson?
Just one thing I forgot. We do appreciate the list that you're sending us with the events in the county. Very good. I didn't know, a couple times I had questions. I wasn't sure if it came from our department. I didn't really realize you were doing that, but it's very much appreciated and doing a good job with that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Well, we really appreciate you coming in here today and filling us all in. I will say that I have felt the website has been much improved in, say, the last 18 months, as I'm not a web kind of person like Yolanda. I'm just Susie Public, trying to find this or that for a constituent, and I find it easier to navigate than I did a few months ago, so.
That's great to hear.
What you're doing is working.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Our next group is going to be the treasurer.
Treasurer, yeah.
And we'll take a couple of minutes to get organized. Our staff has some technical stuff they need to do, but you can come on up. Mr. Wittenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And fellow commissioners, good afternoon, and to the audience and anyone watching at home. We appreciate you having us here today. Let's see if I'm okay with technology. I did it. Let's see if I can continue to move the slides along. So joining me today is Jody Weissler-Defoe, our Chief Deputy Treasurer, who's here. Jill Robinson is our property specialist. She's also the executive director of our land bank, and so she'll actually talk a little at the end about the land bank. So get excited for that. So, so talking through this here, and you can see this here, and you all have the budget, but our continuation budget of $9.7 million provides the necessary resources to deliver our statutorily required services and absorbs the current costs of the Oakland County Land Bank Authority, which we'll talk about. So we are not asking for anything, we're not asking for any increases. What we do, and we'll go through some of this as we go through the slides, but you know, the kind of the main thing that we're doing with our local communities, settlement with them. So people pay their taxes to their local community, their current year taxes. If they are delinquent, they get turned over to us. So we are dealing with delinquent taxes mostly. And so we are cognizant of what's going on with the economy, and we can see here, so you can see for 2024 taxes, the total of real property delinquencies, it was $87.5 million. That was an increase of almost 15%. The year prior, it was $76.1 million, an increase of 12.2%. So that is something that we monitor. That is concerning that goes up. So we continue to monitor that because, you know, we always say how it's a lagging indicator for foreclosures, are a lagging indicator because it's a 3-year process. And so we'll start to go through that as well. And then approximately $25,000 has been expended on the land bank, primarily just for insurance. And the administrative support is provided by our office. So that's built into our budget. Next slide. So this just kind of goes over the different things that we do within our office. This is not comprehensive. This isn't everything that we do, but just some of the things that you're aware of. So again, I talked about the collection of real and personal. We also collect personal property taxes on behalf of all 63 cities, villages, and townships here in Oakland County. There actually might be a 64th coming up soon. There's a new village that might be started here in Oakland County, dispersing, receiving county funds to meet our cash flow needs, investing of our funds. So Public Act 20 tells us what we can invest in. So we are investing our surplus funds. Our local government investment pool, our LGIP. So we also invest on behalf of some of the local communities that want us to invest their surplus funds. We are one of only 2 counties in the state that actually runs this local government investment pool. This office, by virtue of the office, I serve as the treasurer for the Arts Authority, the Zoo Authority, serve on the Economic Development Corporation, the Business Finance Corporation, and also treasurer of our retirement board. And the Land Bank Board. Yes, I am the chair of the Land Bank Board. Thank you for that reminder. We also manage the debt portfolio, supporting the retention of our AAA bond rating. And then we talked about briefly before, but the settlement that we do with our local communities. And that's the money there is for our delinquent tax revolving fund. So let's see, move to the next. So this is kind of one of the biggest things that we do throughout the year, and this takes up a lot of time from just about everyone in our office. We are a small but nimble office. There are only about 40 of us in the office, but the foreclosure prevention is the very public-facing work that we do here in the treasurer's office. So as I said earlier, that people pay their current taxes to their local community. If they're delinquent and they don't pay them by the end of February, they turn over to our office, and then we become the collections agent, if you will. And it is a 3-year process to foreclosure. So there's when it becomes delinquent, it gets turned over to us. The second year, it is forfeited. The third year, it can be foreclosed. March 31st is the foreclosure deadline. So anyone this year in 2025, anyone that owed 2022 and prior year taxes was subject to foreclosure. What I tell everyone, our job, the thing that we're trying to do in our office is to collect taxes. We are not trying to foreclose on people, but it can happen. We have to balance compassion with accountability. So those people who are not paying and will not work with us and we never hear from them, a foreclosure can happen. So this slide here kind of talks to you about, I can actually surprisingly see it better over there than I can on this little computer right here. To give you an idea, so this was for the 2022 delinquent taxes, so the 2025 foreclosure year. So this would have been the foreclosure year. So back in after the 2022 taxes, so in 2023, you can see that number, almost 42,000 parcels turned over delinquent. And then the 39,000 is properties that paid in full. The 1287 is people who got onto repayment plans. So these are people that within our office, we operate and do our taxpayer assistance meetings. These are one-on-one confidential meetings that we do. Prior to COVID, they were done in person. Obviously, since COVID, we do them mostly on the phone. Occasionally, people come in to meet with us. Sometimes it might be Zoom, but we have the 3 of us are doing them, and I think there's 4 others. I think there's 7 of us that are doing these every day. Every hour that we're open, we are hosting these TAMs, and we do that starting in December all the way through the end of March to try to prevent foreclosure. So the numbers there, the 251. So that was the what could have been foreclosed. There were 81 that were then withheld based on making sure that every statutory requirement was fulfilled. So occasionally, if notice was supposed to go to 2 people, or 2 addresses and only went to 1, we would withhold it for that reason. But so this year we had 172 properties that were foreclosed. Actually, our land sale, again, this is statutory as well, our land sale is happening tomorrow. So that number is slightly lower now because we did have to withhold some other properties. One thing this number is a little skewed because we actually had one property owner in Pontiac who for years kept going to the judge to get their property withheld and then never actually made the payments that the judge required to them. This year was the first year that the judge said, you need to make these payments. This person owned almost 50 vacant parcels in Pontiac, never made the payment. So that's why this number is a little skewed. It would be closer to 100 if not for this one person who owned all these who they should have been foreclosed previously. So this number is just slightly higher. 2 years ago in 2023 was the lowest foreclosure number we've ever had in Oakland County. It was around 90. And when you're talking about over 500,000 parcels in Oakland County, that's something that we're really proud of in our office, is that we are doing this outreach to let people know that we're here to help and try to prevent foreclosure. So that's what this slide covers here. Some of the initiatives that we'd like to talk about as well. One of them I'm excited to talk about on the left side there. This is something new, the Smart Finance Academy, financial fitness powered by the Oakland County Treasurer's Office. So this formerly was financial fitness, and it was operated under Michigan Works, but because of cuts from the federal government, Michigan Works, obviously, you probably met with them if you haven't already, but there were some cuts, and obviously they had to figure out what they were going to be doing in their office and what were some of the things that they would have to unload or no longer run. This was something that was a really good fit within our office, and we actually took this over effective on July 1st. We have within our office our Financial Empowerment Center as well. So like a financial coach that helps people with debt relief, budgeting, finding resources. So we have that, and it was a nice fit to kind of marry the two. We've already had 2 webinars. First one was on kind of general budgeting for individuals and households. And then the second one we had was on purchasing a home. First-time home buyers. So we had that, so we're excited about this program that we have taken over, and Michigan Works is going to kind of amplify it and help us on promoting this, but we are the ones who have taken over and rebranded this. Yes, thank you for the reminder. So next week we have, so anyone that wants to sign up, you can go on our website, oakgov.com/treasure, and there should be something there you can sign up. Next week the presentation is on credit repair, so please spread the word. The Homebuyer Assistance Program, this is something we partnered with Independent Bank, and so this is for first-time homebuyers here in Oakland County. It is a down payment assistance program. It is $5,000 grant that goes to these first-time homebuyers. We started this, I think it was a year ago in July. So it started a year ago in July. So we're rolling now into the second year. Trying to think of, how it works, right? So how it works, though, is obviously we're investing our surplus funds, right? So we make our investments, and what we did is if we're getting a 5% interest rate on one of our funds, then we actually just took a 1% cut on that. So we got 4% and used the difference, that 1%, to fund this account. And that's how we're able to help people here in Oakland County buy their homes for the first time. So it is not costing, per se, taxpayer dollars. We're not asking for funds for this. We are doing it based on our interest earned. So, and I don't have the numbers in front of me of how many, but I think they're over 30. Yep. So. And then our residential property owners education program. So we actually recorded videos on this. We are going to be live in the fall. It has been some time with some of the editing and getting things put together properly, but we should be live soon. I guess we're getting close to the fall, which is kind of scary to think about. But we have that, and so we have videos that talk about the pop-up, with tax with people when they buy their home, the property tax cycle with the foreclosure deadline, principal residence exemption, assessments, when you get that assessment notice in the mail. So a lot of things that will be really helpful and informational for residents here. And the claims process. This is something I talked to you all about last year. I don't think we have, Commissioner Smiley was the only new commissioner. So the claims process as well, where if someone was foreclosed, they have the ability to submit a claims form in order to get the surplus funds from the foreclosure, right? They are videos, yep, they are videos. So we will go to the fiscal charts. So here we have, so this shows revenues, budgets versus actuals. Our budget that you can see is very consistent every year when you look at the adopted and amended. We're really not coming in asking for much. The spikes that you see for the actuals are due to land sale auction proceeds when they are posted after the claims process. So that's something I was just talking about, that claims process. And in 2022, no proceeds were posted, and that was due to the software change. So we had talked about that when Workday was going live. We also had our own internal tax software called DevNet that was also going live within a month. So that's why you're seeing that as well. The revenues, we don't really have to dive into this. Again, if you have questions, we can answer any of those questions you have. Let's see here. So expenditures, budgets versus actuals. Our adopted budget, again, is very consistent. The actual expenditure spike in fiscal year 2022 was due to the payment of the Raffaelli settlement. So again, that's still kind of hanging on. Hopefully that will be off of the slide next year or the year after, whenever it's going to be off of there. Yeah. So, but we're still talking about that, but that is in the past. We are moving forward. Absolutely moving forward. So this is staff and fringe benefits. Obviously, you can see all the different things on here: personnel, operating expenses, internal services. One thing I just want to note is that our personnel and internal services did increase, but the operating expenses in our office, as you can see, that's what we can control, and that has stayed steady and actually gone down. So again, we're not asking for anything else. This is about the positions that are open. So currently we have 5 open positions. We actually have 2 people who just started yesterday. We have another person who's starting next week. So those are 3 of the positions. So we have 2 that are open right now. We are looking to fill, but even if we don't, it's good to hold on to those. As we looked at those numbers for the delinquent taxes that get turned over and how that has spiked, and our foreclosure prevention work that we're doing in our office, there's a chance if those numbers continue to spike that we will need more support within our office to try to prevent foreclosure and try to help people in the community. So, that number, though, stays low. We want to try to keep the amount of people in our office there to do the work that we need to, but we are running lean. The question about grants, there are no, we don't have any grants that any of our positions are funded by. So, okay, so I will pass it over now to Jill Robinson, who will talk about the land bank. Do you want to control the?
Sure.
Okay.
And I do have to put my glasses on. Okay. Good afternoon. As you all know, the Oakland County Land Bank Authority was established in 2022. Our mission was to revitalize communities, promote economic growth, and enhance the quality of life across Oakland County, which I think we've done a good job of. December of 24, the State Land Bank Authority deeded about 100 properties over to the Oakland County Land Bank Authority from their inventory. And then in January 2025, the Oakland County Treasurer's Office, which held the properties in their inventory, transferred everything to the Oakland County Land Bank. That was about 370 properties. So right now, in totality, we have just under 500 properties in our inventory. Majority of those, 99% of those, are vacant lots in the city of Pontiac. Mostly buildable, probably 85% are buildable. Some are other ones that are maybe in people's backyards or slivers of land, easements, that kind of thing. Currently working with a lot of potential developers to build houses, to present housing plans to the city of Pontiac. We're working with some emerging developers. That's kind of my, that's what I like to do. I like to work with folks that are really interested in getting into the development world and have always consistently had problems applying for MSHDA funding or other kind of funding just because it's a tough place to break into. So right now we have 3 emerging developers for about 12 houses in the city of Pontiac, and one of them also assisting them with a project in Royal Oak Township. In addition, I think everybody here knows and maybe has toured 111 Oneida. That's the beautiful, historic 100-year-old apartment building that was sold to a developer who was also an emerging developer. And they are, right now, windows are going in, maybe they're all in. They're working on HVAC and plumbing. You should drive by, it looks really amazing. And they are planning to start renting out the units, I think mid-2026, so they're moving right along. And that also was with support from the Housing Trust Fund. So that is an important partner that we have with all of our projects. In addition, I work with some housing work groups. There is the Pontiac Funders Collaborative, which is a housing work group just looking at kind of where we need to go in the county, what we need, how many housing units are necessary. Also with the MSHDA Regional Housing Partnership, they did a statewide housing plan, I think it was 4 years ago now. Right now they're looking at doing 2.0. So kind of looking at where we were, where we've come to, and obviously what else we need to do. And that helps people access resources for gap funding, figure out where the best places are for housing, where land is located, and just kind of connecting all the various housing groups within the county together. Oh, right. Blight Elimination Program. That was a big grants that we got over the past couple years. It was a total of 4 rounds. We applied for 3 of them and were awarded. Round 1 was $200,000, and that went to stabilizing 2 houses that the Treasurer's Office owned in the GM Modern Housing neighborhood in Pontiac. Those were ones that foreclosed in, I think, 2014. And I held on to those, just hoping and applying and praying that we'd get some grant funding, and we got that. 75 Oliver and 595 North Perry. 75 Oliver sold actually last week, under $200,000, which is very affordable in today's world. And then 595 North Perry is going up for sale in a couple weeks, with I think a little bit lower amount since it's on Main Road. The round 3 funding was for the demolition of an elementary school in Pontiac that is going to be the new youth recreation center in the next few years we're looking at. They already have a plan, they have a budget, and they're moving forward with that. And then another school was demolished in the city of Pontiac, Emerson School, that's going to make way for a senior housing planned unit development with smaller footprint houses, some shared green space. And I think we've talked a lot about schools and the fact that there's a lot of schools sitting dormant that need demolition funds. So it's exciting for us to get these demolition funds from the State Land Bank Authority and kind of clear the slate, make the neighbors very happy, make space for new housing, and I'm hoping to apply for some other funding for that for a school we own right now that will give us another almost 4 acres to do an RFP for new housing. Click. And then this is just identifying a lot of our partners that we work with, not an exhaustive list, but internally with the county, we work very closely with the Brownfield Authority and with the Housing Trust Fund. We meet and talk weekly. There's lots going on in the community. I think there's a lot of great conversations that we all have and are able to connect each other with various resources that are necessary. Obviously, the state organizations, the State Land Bank Authority, and lots of municipal partners. Lots of folks are interested in the land bank, figuring out how to use it, how to bring property into the land bank, have it qualify as a brownfield, and then move it out. Working with Habitat for Humanity of Oakland County, they're connecting them with some folks that want to develop but are not developers. So working with them to connect them with a developer that can help them kind of see their vision and actually get something built and apply for grants with them. And then just our nonprofit housing partners. And obviously, if you know anyone that is interested in the land bank, feel free to connect me with them. I think I'll go on the road show to the treasurer's offices with Robert over the next couple months. Sure. So we'll kind of hit everybody and just talk about, obviously, treasurer activities, but also the land bank. So if any of you know anybody that are working on housing or community development activities, feel free to send them my way. Oh yeah, this picture is actually 79 Oliver. So you can see the top is the before, and it was in really bad shape. You know, we held it for 10 years. Everybody said tear it down. I don't have it in me, but, and this kind of proves that, and I always point to, when people say things can't be renovated, I always point to Brush Park in Detroit, if anybody knows that area. You know, houses that were falling down, beautiful architecture. But I've watched over my career of 20 years to see, you know, the no way, tear it all down, to now you have the highest property values in the city of Detroit. So this is a prime example of something cool in a neighborhood. It's a historic neighborhood. You can walk down the street, see there's a few more that probably need the same treatment. But this is going to do wonders for the property values of the neighbors. And you can already see kind of the things happening over there. The next door neighbor got a new porch. The one across the street is getting a new roof. So just, I was excited to be part of seeing something not demolished and sent to the landfill, but creates a space for somebody to call home now. And that is it, unless you have questions.
Thank you, Jill. And she alluded to, and so I might as well talk a little bit about this, but our partnership with the local communities. So we work closely for many different reasons with our local communities here in Oakland County. And then personally, I've obviously been in office now just over 4 years, as I started July 1st of 2021. And when I first got into office, actually slightly before we started the tour, trying to meet with all 63 CVTs. I think we met with 58 the first time. Not everyone wanted to meet, which was fine. Some of them are tiny communities of, 10 parcels or a couple blocks, and they're doing it part-time. And then went back around again in 2023 and met with roughly the same amount. And then the third tour is starting this week. Actually, tomorrow I'm going to meet with some communities, and we try to get to any community and every community that wants to meet. So we just, we really value the partnership we have with all the local communities and what we can do within our office to try to help them. We talked about the settlement process. That is when we work most closely with them, but we also collect the delinquent personal property tax on their behalf, which is unique. Not every county does that. So we do a lot to really support our local communities here in the county. So with that, I think we covered everything that we really wanted to. We appreciate you giving us the opportunity to present to you all. Again, we are not asking for an increase So, you know, in our office, we always say we're fiscally responsible, but we're socially conscious. We are looking out for all the residents and businesses of Oakland County and doing it as efficiently as possible. So thank you for the time. And obviously, we're here to answer any questions.
Okay, I will open it up and I'll start with Commissioner Taylor, followed by Commissioner Gershenson.
Thank you once again. A great presentation. All my questions, and I had a lot, you already answered.
Okay.
I really appreciate that.
All right.
I just
I'll
had
see you
one
later.
thought though. No, before you leave.
Okay, sorry.
When the clerk's office presented to us, they had a question about digitization of their records. I wonder if that's a concern for you, or is that something you're looking at? I don't know the retention that you have to have in your office, how long it is, but is that something you're considering, you need, or?
So we have already started and almost finished that process. I'll let Jody talk about it because this started prior to my term, and Jody's been here 12 years. Is it 12 years? Uh-oh. Jody, Chief Deputy Treasurer, can talk about this.
So the question was about digitization of our records. A lot of our records come in digital, like the tax rolls all come in digital at this point. When the county moved to Laserfiche, I think probably 6 or 7 years ago, we were one of the first departments that jumped on it. And so we digitize all of our daily work material. Our tax rolls are all, for the retention that we're required to retain them, are all in Laserfiche. And so at this point, I feel like we are comfortable and confident that our records are digitized.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Gershenson.
That's very interesting and commendable that you've been on top of that.
And I can tell you that there was a room in the treasurer's office that was full from like floor to ceiling just before I got here, right?
Well, and not only that, when I started, there was like alleys to move around. There were just boxes and boxes everywhere. So in multiple rooms, yeah. So
But kudos
it's
to you
much
that
better.
your department is
Yeah,
handling
thank you.
it yourself.
Yeah.
Certainly not every department is. So Robert, Treasurer Wittenberg,
I'm Robert.
I am not on finance, so a lot of the programs you're talking about, I don't really know about. In particular, the Smart Finance Academy and the Home Buyer Assistance Program. I'd like to get some information. I think all commissioners should get some information because that's something we can take to our communities. On the Home Buyer Assistance Program, how many residents are actually using it? Do you consider it's effective? What is its budget? Are you using the whole budget?
So as I think I mentioned, there's about 30 so far home buyers. So these are for first-time home buyers in Oakland County. It is income-based, and these are people who, the definition of first-time home buyers, I think they could not have owned a home in the last 3 years. And there are programs already in place elsewhere, so we didn't reinvent the wheel, but partnering with Independent Bank, again, the budget is based on, we get that 1% spread, right? So if we get a CD with them for 5%, we get 4%, 1% goes to fund this program. The way that we started was $100,000. So that's how we had 20 people the first year that did it at $5,000 each. And then now we're rolling into the second year. So we see a lot of interest. They have people in the queue waiting for this. And they also have to go through an educational component. It's not just giving them the money, obviously. But it's been helpful, and we have a list of, the home buyers. And again, they can stack it with other programs. If there's something from MSHDA, if there's something at the federal level, they can combine.
So you started with a $100,000 budget. Where are you now?
It was $100,000 the first year, $100,000 again this year. We are almost halfway through that second $100,000. So the first one was exhausted. We are almost halfway through that second one.
Okay. Jill, do you have a board? Okay, so there's no mention of it on your presentation, and.
That's a good point. There should
Oh,
be.
I wasn't sure if it was.
Yeah, there is a board. There's a 5-member board.
But we're involved in the appointment process, so I'd like to get an update on that from you. Don't need it right now.
Yeah.
And then a big concern, certainly for the country, is affordable housing. So I really appreciate what you're doing in renovation and everything. Do you work with the Housing Trust Fund? And the idea is to get more housing.
Yeah.
certainly the amount of housing we can get to balance the homeless population it's not,
Right.
it's a tough equation.
Right.
So how do you see that?
Well, I think we're working with a variety of groups. Yeah, we work very closely with the Housing Trust Fund, and there's a conversation right now about it's a zoning atlas. So across the state of Michigan, people could go in and see the zoning in every single community and say, oh, this is for duplexes or triplexes or whatever. So they could at least access where those are able to be built. And then talking to communities about zoning changes. Single family residential, I think that's what people are used to. In my neighborhood, I have a single family house that I live in, but I have next door a multifamily, across the street a multifamily, down the street is an apartment building. So I think just education and talking to people about housing styles in a variety and working with communities to say, zoning residentially, maybe that could be a single family up to a fourplex. So that conversation, working on getting a map together that acknowledges who owns the property, city, county, state, so developers can go in and see across the board if I own some, if Bob Smith owns some, and the county land bank owns 5 in the middle, we can work with them on assembly and help them gain access to the person that owns it. So it's a big problem, but slowly stepping, like baby steps are steps, right?
Yeah, because I think this is something we're looking at, and eventually, like Dallas has a program, they supposedly don't have any more homeless people. But if we could, in the future, be thinking that we want to be working towards a viable plan. We want to address the lack of housing and the homeless problem. So just want you to keep that in mind and keep us up to date on any projects that are leaning that way.
Of course, yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm also going to start with Jill. On the grant, and maybe fiscal services might have to jump in here. On the grant monies that you mentioned in your presentation, there was, I think, 3 different ones. Because in the previous slide, it said we don't do any
You're talking
grants.
about the land bank grants?
Land bank grants.
Then, yeah.
Yep. Because in the overall presentation you did said we don't have any grant money.
Correct.
Okay? Which I know we do. So how do we track those monies? How are they tracked? Because they're not in your budget, I don't believe, anywhere.
Correct.
So how do we bring that money in, manage it, and push it back out? Where is that tracked at?
So, okay. So I will say it is in our budget.
It is in the budget.
It's all been expended through contracted services, through
Okay, so
contracts
that's
that we have.
contract services.
Contracted services, yep.
So where does it come in as revenue?
It would come in as, I don't know exactly, what would it call it?
It's probably coming in state grant revenue.
State grant revenue.
So there's a
There
difference,
isn't, yeah.
if I may, the grant revenue that we asked the departments about was federal grant revenue, because that was the piece that we're so concerned about. The state grant revenue was not part of that question.
That's expensive stuff.
Mike, did you hear me?
I did. I was just looking for where it is here. But.
So, but there's not, there are no grants that are specific to staffing in our office, right?
Which was the original question.
Right, that's the original. But obviously those grants that Jill was referring to was land bank specifically.
Right, just how do we
And those are, state
They're-
grants.
Right, how the
And
money
they're
come in, and how's it
tracked
go
as-
out, and how's it tracked?
Yeah.
Because-
And they're tracked as grants and workday, too.
Okay.
So,
Make that note. And then my second question is relative to investments. In the book, 655, 385. Page 171.
171.
171?
171.
Do you have that, Jody?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes?
My question is, in 25, we have budgeted as a revenue 300K. 26, it goes to 600K, which I don't necessarily have an issue with. Because if you go back into the audited actuals for 25, we're already at 950K. And if you go back to the previous 2 years, we've always been over 600.
Yes.
And based on the way our property rates and everything are going
Yes.
up and et cetera, the tax base is going up, everybody's paying more money. Why 600,000? And I don't know if that's
So
your
there's a
answer
couple
or their
things.
answer.
So these-
And it's flat. I would
Yeah.
expect it to increase over time because
Yeah.
I know you guys put pressure on yourselves to do
Well-
very well with our investments, so I would expect
Yeah,
to see
we do, sure.
a upgrowing trend for that number to continue to increase.
So there's a couple things. So the income from investments is not just on the treasurer's general fund, it's specifically on land sale funds. So the land sale funds are the funds that we're using to pay the Raffaelli settlements. So we expect that dollar amount of those funds to decrease. So that was one reason. Second reason is we do expect rates to go down.
Okay, like on the rates that you guys
The
are
interest
invested
rates
in.
that we're investing in, yeah. And also keep in mind that we're investing in very, very safe vanilla, like 1-year treasury is
Yeah, I
kind
know.
of the, right? So we're not
very
getting
overly
great
conservative in
rates,
our-
we're getting
Right, I
kind
know
of
that.
real standard rates.
Which is actually, and this is, maybe I just think this is somewhat humorous, is I had a conversation with somebody about Bitcoin, with governmental entities investing in Bitcoin. And I'm like, I didn't think we could do that because of the high risk.
Okay.
Correct.
But some
PA
people
20 does not allow
Some people
that.
think the opposite of that and think we can, so I just.
People think a lot of things that are untrue.
I agree. I've been doing this a long time, as have you. So.
So as Jody,
And I would also point out that we did increase it from 300 to 600. Previous, our budget
Yeah,
for
I see
income
that.
for investments
Yeah,
had
which is
been
fair,
300.
which flagged it for me originally, right? I usually do the big deltas and start asking questions, but then I look across and see what happens.
and again, like during COVID, right, at the beginning of COVID, rates went to almost zero.
Right.
And we were slightly above that, and then they went up quickly. And it was, turning a large ship for us to catch up because we invested, we're investing, we got to make sure we have our liquidity for, the bills that we have to pay, but we also invest out into the future. And so the rates have gone up. We are actually now above the 1-year treasury is under 4%. Our rate that we are getting right now based on all our investments is over 4%. So it took us a little while to get to that, but we are over 4%. And rates, I can tell you rates are not going to go up. They're only going to go down. We don't know exactly when. I mean, the Fed has met and talked about it. And, obviously the president is pushing to lower rates. They're not going to go up. We know that. So, but, we know that we are now getting more than when we were budgeting when they were at their all-time, well, not all-time, but they were at a low, at the beginning of
Pretty
COVID.
much zero.
Yep. And as Jody also mentioned, so PA 20 tells us what we can invest in. If it's not listed there, we cannot invest in. So no one is investing in cryptocurrency. We cannot do that, right? It is newsworthy if we lose $5. It is not newsworthy if we make an extra $5 on interest, right? Like we are very prudent with, taxpayer dollars and making sure that we are not losing money.
And we all do appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
All right, I'll move on to my next question, which gets into the expenses on page 172. You mentioned insurance was $25K for the land bank, but here it's only budgeted at $15,000, so.
Yeah, the 25K is the overall budget. There's other expenses, but
Right.
15 is what the insurance has been. So we said majority of the 25 was
Sorry.
for insurance.
If I said 25 just for insurance, I apologize. That was
Well,
the-
that's what I thought it read up there too. I
Yeah,
read
yeah.
the same thing, but that's okay. So, but if you go farther down in that section on page 172, it has to do with the recording fees and title searches. We see a huge bump if you look at title searches on 731913, the very bottom line on page 172. Historically, we have never spent that amount of 800K.
That's correct.
So the major
Yeah.
question is, why are we at 800K?
So we used to spend 800K, and then we changed vendors, and we got an extreme discount.
Yeah.
And but we have also anticipated that we may see an increase. 800,000 is probably a little higher than it needs to be, but it also provides us some flexibility. That's my
I
answer.
know what you mean by that.
But we're not
And-
asking for more.
And the similar question for the two above that, the recording fees.
Yeah,
They
so
went up to
I will tell you,
250.
those are usually on budget, and as Robert mentioned, we flipped to a new technology software system, DevNet, and it was not able to communicate with the Register of Deeds system until about 2 months ago. So we are now in the process of
number
backlog.
to go up.
Yeah, this year is going to
Okay.
be very high, which is one of the things I'm going to talk to my budget analyst about.
Excellent. But and I think my final question, if you move on to page 173, the foreclosure notifications.
Yes.
It goes from 400 to 425, but in previous years, we were at 800, 545. So I have a note here, is that too low? And based on your presentation with the foreclosure rates going up.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of the title search and the foreclosure notification, the way our vendor bills us. We used to have title search vendors and mail vendors, and now they do the same. So that's kind of, we've been breaking the invoices between the two, so I think we probably need to balance out those two numbers. So the 800,000 on title search and the 400,000 on foreclosure notification really probably need to be balanced.
Got it, thank you.
Yep.
Is that it, Commissioner?
That's it.
Commissioner Smith Charles.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Treasurer team. I had two
Hello.
questions. One of them is, one of them is you mentioned, Treasurer Wittenberg, that you are the treasurer for, you said the Building Authority, Arts Zoo, EDC, et cetera, you're the treasurer, in other words, there's like a chair, a vice chair, that kind of thing?
Correct.
Is that information on our website to see, I mean, kind of along the lines of what Commissioner Gershenson was saying about who else is on these authorities?
Yep.
Is that somewhere we could look as well?
It is. I would defer to the Board of Commissioners team because there's always a staff person from the Board of Commissioners
Right.
that's in charge. And then on the website, I think all of the different authorities have a page on the website that you can go because they are public. You know, they have to have minutes and everything public. So their meetings are public.
Okay. Second question is related to the land bank side of things, which is, it's stated on here that there's like a Michigan land bank and then like a Michigan State land bank. What's the?
So
State of Michigan.
they're the same. Yeah, it's just one. And the state land bank is in places where counties don't have a land bank, right? So everywhere in the state has a land bank, but in some places it's the county, some places it might be the city, but where there's nothing, the state land bank is the land bank. And that's actually, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but the impetus of the land bank here in Oakland County was because we didn't have one, and there was a lot of money that went to the state land bank instead of coming here. I don't know if...
On the Commerce Township project. It's
Yeah.
a big housing project in Commerce.
Okay, that makes sense. And then just a closing note, sometimes social media lets you know how communities are feeling. And I think in Royal Oak Township...
No way. Not social media.
In Royal Oak Township, we know that there is a housing development over there, and I'm glad you reminded us we have a land bank and we have a housing trust fund, and there are two separate entities.
Correct.
And you guys are not on the trust fund side, so this question may not hit home, but I'm just curious. There's something called payment in lieu of taxes that seems to be making its way through the conversation channels in Royal Oak Township, that all of these 8 new developments, or 28 might be, will always be rentals. Do you, and it's not anything the county did, it is at the local level, so the local government has to be okay with it. They sign off on it, and they did. I'm just curious, do we have opportunities for these local governments to be trained or have like courses in what's best?
Yeah, I'm sure there would be there'd be some training. It's payment in lieu of taxes allows affordability to be maintained, right? So you're not paying the property taxes every year, paying an amount that is prescribed every year for usually 20 or 30 years. So that allows the rents to maintain affordability as housing values go up, rents go up. I know there's a couple communities that kind of outlawed them in their community. And I think you have a lot of very successful nonprofit housing partners that are very good at them. Okay. So yes, absolutely, I can get you some information on trainings. Okay. I think that would be great. Actually, I think we talk a lot about the TIF board too. So it might be an interesting time to kind of inject some training in both of those.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to know, right? It's something that people talk about a lot, and we're all kind of like, what are you talking about?
Because the last thing we want to do is be all affordable housing, attainable housing, fanatics, and then it ends up just being rentals. Because we love developers, we love investors, we love homeowners, we love everybody in the whole gamut of everything in it.
Yeah.
So my closing comment is tomorrow, the Greater Metropolitan Association of Realtors is doing a tour of
I'll be there.
New developments throughout Oakland County. I'll be attending, and so I'm looking forward to just taking some notes and reporting back as I can in a way that we can continue to move this thing forward and get people with some security in where they lay their heads every night. So that's all I got, and keep up the good work, everyone.
Yeah, and kind of to, can I jump on that? So the housing gap, the building houses is more expensive than it's ever been. So I think maybe when you're talking to other legislators and that kind of thing, how do we get more gap funding? How do we have access to that? I think a lot of it's being cut off through the current administration. There may be some legislation for land banks moving forward that would allow the land bank to get additional funding. So I think that conversation is nonstop, at least for me. And if you have access to those folks too, just how do we get more gap funding? Like affordability, buying a house, nobody's gonna buy a house for $300,000 if they can't afford it. So how do you bring that cost down?
Right. And through the chair, Madam Chair, thank you. Jill, whenever you come across opportunities, I know Commissioner Hoffman's a good one for putting a letter, writing letter campaigns to our elected officials.
Yeah.
I would welcome that. I think most of us here want to see this supported. So if you have those type of opportunities for advocacy from our perch, then please let us know, because we are here to advocate for our communities.
Thank you.
Commissioner Erickson Galt.
Thank you, Chair. Wonderful presentation. I really appreciate all you're doing to prevent foreclosure, because kind of piggybacking on what Commissioner Gershenson said earlier, tackling homelessness is definitely one of our goals, and the more we can keep people in their existing home and not boot them out simply because, especially in these cases where you have a home that they own free and clear, and what they're struggling with is paying those taxes. So that's a beautiful thing, especially for our seniors. I'm very concerned about the increase in the property tax delinquencies over the last couple of years. Oh, let me get a little closer to it. There we go. Is the number or the total amount of delinquencies? Is it, are we seeing an increase in the number of properties subject to delinquency, and is that a double-digit increase as well, or do we simply have a lot of very expensive?
It's not. So part of it is that obviously we're seeing inflation increases on taxes as well, right? So that percentage, and Brian actually made me look at this, the percentage of the tax roll that is increased is less than 1%. So the total amount has increased 15%, but the amount of the tax roll that it's increased is less than 1%.
Okay, so we're not seeing a huge influx.
Not yet, but we are seeing increase. Still, a 1% increase is still significant, right? Because it used to be like 0.25%. So a 1% is still a increase to keep our eyes on.
Okay, all right. That was my only.
All right. Anybody else? I just have one comment. I really appreciate how hard you work to prevent foreclosures. It's a whole thing from
It's
top
an
to
emotional
bottom.
process.
Yeah, and I can imagine it's very emotional. My best friend went through a lot with you guys the last few years, and it worked for her, and I appreciate that. I just wonder, how do we compare to other counties? Like, you worked out this whole thing, and several, where are the numbers here? 41,000 ends up with 172 foreclosures. So how do we compare with other counties that are doing the same kind of thing? Do you know? Do you ever compare yourself to them? You go to conferences among treasurer people, right?
We do.
So as far as what we do, I think what we do is very unique. Out of the 83 counties, I would say very few counties actually do the outreach that we do. We really do a robust, this is really awkward for me to kind of talk. So just assume that it's my mouth moving and you can just see me from behind here. We do, like, as we talk through, those taxpayer assistance meetings, but I also personally go to as many township board meetings and city council meetings from January through March to keep spreading the word, to let people know that we are here to help, right? People, we don't know, I always say this, we don't know you need help unless you tell us you need help. So we really encourage people to reach out to us, that we are here to work with everyone. So I go personally, we visit the properties. Again, they get at least, I think it's 12 notices that are, some are statutory. We send some above and beyond what is statutorily required. We are out in the community. We do town halls on this. We do a multimedia campaign, so we do ads, we do online, TV commercials, things like that, just to let people know that we are here to help, right? We kind of hang our hat on the fact that our foreclosure number is low and that we brought that foreclosure number down. And then percentage-wise, I actually, offhand, I don't remember, I don't know if you remember, but based on percentage, I would say we're one of the lowest in the state, and again, there are some counties that don't even do repayment agreements like we do, right? So we give people the opportunity. We can never, we can't lower someone's taxes, interest, and fees, right? That is statutorily required. But what we can do is give them more time to pay by giving them a repayment agreement. Again, balancing that accountability with compassion, right? And so we bring the numbers down based on that. There are other counties where if you don't pay after 3 years, you're done, right? You're foreclosed. But here in Oakland, we're trying to work with everybody. So we do what we can.
There's maybe a recommendation for a NACO award or something along those lines. I mean, if we're unique and better, we ought to share our message. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Powell has a question, and then.
Well, I just
think
have
we'll
more
be
of a
done.
comment because I can say, as y'all see, they talked a lot about one of the cities in my district, Pontiac, and I have witnessed firsthand the work and them doing it and really doing the outreach, especially with the foreclosures. Because I think when I became a commissioner, when we like over 1,000, yeah, we was in 1,000, and majority of them was all in Pontiac. So to see that number is under 200, I take it any day, and I know it, I seen it. I had to even go in and get some assistance and some direction for my personal. So a lot of those programs that they're talking about, I didn't go through the whole thing, but just that first meeting was enough for me to be like, oh, I gotta get my together and stuff so I can get prepared for the house before I bought the house and stuff.
Right.
So our programs do work, and they do the work, and I just thank you all for everything. Wittenberg was even gonna go door knocking with me one time. We were gonna go to the house, but then I was like, that may be a security measure, because we are coming because people about to lose their house. We couldn't figure it out, but that was when the numbers that were really high, and we were really just trying to get people in. So I just thank you for your willingness to even figure it out, and you've been doing it in my community, so thank you. And your team, thank you.
I was going to say we have a great team. This
Yes,
is not just
it
me.
is.
This
It's
is
a team.
This
It
is
is.
all hands on deck.
You
so
know I know, because I call everybody.
thank you.
I
Thank you.
just think you represent Oakland County so well to the public, fiscally responsible and yet compassionate.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important and fits with the values we're trying to run this county by. So
Thank
thanks
you.
so much for everything you guys do.
Thank you. And then we have, we have some things that we have to get back to you on. So we will send you some more information. We'll send that to all the commissioners, so you're
Okay.
aware of the programs, and would love for any of you to join, and then kind of disseminate that information to your constituents.
Just do it
So-
through our staff, and then
Okay.
we'll get it out to all of
Perfect.
us.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, we're going to take about a 10-minute break before we start the next session.
Yeah.
also be the wrong name for a year.
And you just gonna keep
That's who
doing
you think it is.
Mhm.
So I have to fix that. I feel bad.
He doesn't care.
All right. All right, everybody, we're going to start up again on our budget hearings. Now we're going to move into the Water Resources Commissioner budget. My favorite meeting every month, and I've told him this, is the Drain Board meeting because I find this stuff fascinating, so. The floor is yours, Mr.
Well, thank
Nash.
you.
Please
Our meetings
introduce
are
your
always
staff.
something new all
Always
the time.
something new, yep.
Well, I really appreciate it. Howdy, folks. My name's Jim Nash. I'm your Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner. I've got with me Steve Korth, who is my Chief Deputy, Brian Coburn, who is one of my one of my managers, and Holly Conforti, who does numbers. So I'm gonna credit her for that. So together, we work together in my office. Our mission is to be responsible for the maintenance, operation, and improvement of Oakland County's water, sewer, and drainage infrastructure. Guided by the Michigan Drain Code, we ensure systems remain sustainable, efficient, and resilient, protecting public health, property, and the environment. Our work spans over $18.4 billion in managed assets, including sanitary sewers and drinking water systems. We do everything all around water in this county. We serve every community in this county one way or another. And we have a very good relationship with all our communities. Asset management and fiscal responsibility. We use advanced asset management systems to monitor conditions, prioritize repairs, and extend service life for infrastructure. This approach focuses on maximizing ratepayer investment while preparing for emerging challenges such as more frequent extreme weather events. These are happening and we have to plan for them. We apply a dig once philosophy when possible, coordinating water and sewer upgrades with road work to save time, money, and disruption. This is something that the communities very much approve of. My team pursues state and federal funding to reduce the burden on local taxpayers. Everything we do goes to the rates. This is how we operate. We don't use tax money except for a tiny little fraction of the general fund for the county. So any other questions about that? What we do for the communities here? Seeing none. Workforce development. This is a vitally important thing that my office, all public works offices, and basically the entire industry is concerned with. We're running out of employees. Our employees are getting to look a lot more like me than coming out of high school. So we need more employees to make sure that we're doing this. And we've been working on this for some time. We're working with something called MUST. The organization is called the Management and Unions Serving Together. I'm very proud that we're the first one to be using this system to do this, and we're putting field apprenticeships out in the field. We're bringing on field apprentices for 10 weeks of work with our drinking water maintenance unit. At the end of the 10-week program, there will be job openings for these workers to apply for a full-time position with us. MUST, the organization, provides field apprentices with whatever they need to succeed during their 10 weeks with us, including safety training. Safety training is a very important thing that we're doing these days that's just made it much more safe for our employees, and we work together, which encourages our employees. MUST pays 100% of these apprenticeship wages, $18 an hour. So this helps us too, because we're not having to charge the ratepayers for this. And in the long run, we're planning on using this more often to make sure that we're bringing in new people. We need new people. I want to thank everybody for the Board of Commissioners for allowing us to proceed with the schematic design of the Water Resources offices and the new site. We've been working with AK Architects to develop the preliminary design of the building and site for us to bring back to the board for approval to proceed with the final design and construction. We also have sub-consultants completing the soil borings and geotechnical work, delineating the wetlands and completing the survey. The environmental subcontractors have been working with design concepts to enhance the environmental features at the site. A contract for the owner's representative was publicly advertised and proposal was received on July 30 to assist us with the managing of the project. The proposals are currently under review and will be presented to the Board of Commissioners when that's completed. A request for proposals for a construction manager is in the final review process and should be posted within the week, with proposals due in September. Once completed, the successful contractor will be identified and introduced to the Board of Commissioners for award shortly thereafter. We're excited to keep working on design. We'll be back with updates as we progress. One goal of the new building is to improve our efficiencies by eliminating a duplication for administrative support now required at each satellite offices. We're bringing 5 offices into one. We will also be able to share resources among our units as a heavy equipment and trucks, which will decrease the cost to our customers. Consolidating our operations and parking trucks and equipment inside extends the useful life of those assets, again, saving money. And the new facility will provide room for additional heavy equipment, such as Vector trucks that will allow us to self-perform our sewer inspection, repair, and cleaning operations rather than having contractors do all this. Whenever we're replacing contractors with our own, we don't make a profit, contractors do. So every time we're able to do that, we're saving our communities and our services funding. So all of this is going to pay off in the long run. Any questions around the building at all, or?
Commissioner Christensen?
I believe you answered this before in committee, but just refresh my memory. Just like I had suggested to the Road Commission, you had looked at existing empty buildings on the campus. You did an in-depth study about that. Correct?
Both on campus and in the whole area. We wanted to center it in the middle of the county so we can reach everybody kind of equally. You don't want off on one side, so we have to travel for other communities. And that's been very successful. We really couldn't find anything on campus or even off campus that really worked for us. We were having significant issues, and we were looking at $10 to $15 million in extra costs for property if we couldn't find something ourselves. So this offered us this ability to do this project and save a bunch of money in the long run. And I really, again, I appreciate that. Working with Parks has been really terrific too. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next, our key infrastructure. We're going to talk about the GWK facility a little bit, the George W. Kuhn Retreatment Basin. A lot of claims have been made about that, and we need to make sure people understand this. So this critical infrastructure, I wanted to touch base with our George W. Kuhn facility that you may have read about in the news media. It's the nation's largest treatment facility in the country, serving 14 Southeast Michigan County employees, 38 square miles of drainage. This facility can treat 150 million gallons in combined water and wastewater without releasing any of it. Our facility captures, treats, disinfects polluted runoff before it reaches rivers, lakes, and streams. This is all under permit from this. Our permit was renewed last month, and the facility is recognized an industry gold standard. We have to have this permit. It's a 5-year permit. It took a year and a half to get it here, but we are under this new permit, and we will be working for that to make sure that all our systems are maintained the best they can be. We work with Eagle on all aspects of compliance and performance. We work with them very closely. The regional office is very understanding of our systems, and we work very, very well together. So that's part of that system. All kinds of complaints, of claims have been made against this system. But again, this system produces very, very clean water. Cleaner water than in the rest of that whole drain that it drains into. And what we do is the best that can be done. So I just want to make sure people understand that we treat this water extremely well. So there's our current challenges to the regional, but we need regional collaboration to do that. The DeQuinder interceptor issue. This is a sanitary sewage release in extreme rain. We've had it happen 2 times in the last 5 years, and we have not recorded it before that. So this is a very new thing that's been happening just in the past 5 years or so. The system fail-safe, the reason that it overflows into the Red Run drain is because this water reaches a level that if it got any higher, it would start flooding basements in Oakland County and even downstream from Oakland County in Wayne and Macomb County. So these kind of things have an impact that if we're not putting it off to there, then it's going into homes, which is a sanitary and health impact that we don't want to ever see. So to prevent that from happening, we've had to put it into the Red Run drain. These 2 storms, I want to mention, the last time we had to do this was in April of this year. In that same storm, downstream from our facility, actually we released little less than 1.2 million gallons of stormwater into that drain in that storm. Downstream from us in the Warren Wastewater Treatment Plant, they released 42 million gallons of raw sewage into that same drain. And then another couple of miles downstream, Centerline put in another 2.1 million gallons into that same drain. So when Macomb County complains about our 1.2 million and kind of ignores the 43 million gallons that went into their own county. They're just trying to find somebody to scapegoat on that. And we will make sure that this doesn't happen anymore. But you can't scapegoat Oakland County for problems that have been going on in Macomb County for generations. We did receive an enforcement notice from Eagle about this. We haven't received a consent order at this time. It hasn't been issued. But we have, again, they've brought us about this, and we've told them what we're doing to change this, working towards regional solutions with operational changes already implemented and presented to Eagle. So we've already done some of these things. Proposals for more storage in Oakland County would cost billions with no measurable water quality and could increase basement backup risk. And the state reports identify solutions in Macomb County, especially replacing failing septic systems. Again, between the systems that they have that are already dumping raw sewage into their waterways, they're also having very significant issues with failing septics in their communities that are, again, contributing pollution into Lake St. Clair. So our systems have been seen as Eagle as not responsible for the pollution in Lake St. Clair. They did a report in 2017 that flatly stated that. And what we're doing is trying to help downstream from us to make sure that our systems are not going to be putting any more sewage into those drains in the future. We want to make sure that everybody understands that and that we will continue this process as long as we can. So any questions about either the GWK or the DeQuinder? Please.
Commissioner Erickson Galt and then Commissioner Smith Charles.
Thank you very much. I appreciate microphone. I appreciate the clarification on what's going on, especially regarding the DeQuinder interceptor and how it's separate from the George W. Kuhn retention. Which communities contribute sewer flow into the DeQuinder interceptor?
The DeQuinder, that's mostly, I'm sorry, Troy, and is it mostly Troy? I thought it also went into
it's mostly Troy.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, mostly Troy.
That's what
Gary told me last week.
This is sanitary sewer.
This is, no, the GW, I'm sorry, the DeQuinder, yeah, that's
DeQuinder
sanitary. That's a separated sanitary system.
Right.
That's an interceptor that serves.
Because the GW Kuhn, I think that has both. That has both some sanitary and some.
That's a combined system. About 97% is stormwater and about 3% on average is going to be sewage.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Smith Charles.
Thank you. Last year, a number of us visited the Gleewa facility down off of Jefferson, if I'm not calling it the wrong thing, but just amazed at the permitting process. They said that they were one of the largest permitter, or if not the largest permitter in the state, and I'm imagining Eagle is right up there with them, and they come off as a little bit of a monolith where you can't really tell them what to do, and it just seems fortified to be able to reach anyone from that capacity. So I'm curious, you said it took about 12 to 18 months or so for the permitting most recently?
No, that was from Eagle. Right,
From
right.
Eagle.
So one of the things, the claims that was made that we were running on a expired permit, but the law says the old permit is good until a new permit comes. It's super common for them to take some years, often to months or even years, to go through the process of approving a new permit. So it's not unusual at all for it to be late.
And is that a line item in your budget? How do you pay for said permit? I'm imagining it's quite costly.
Oh, permits aren't that much, actually, in terms of
It's all through the drainage district.
each individual drainage district is an enterprise of itself. So, my office oversees them, but each one is an individual enterprise. So it depends on each individual thing that's going on, what's going on within it.
Okay. Well, just was articulated by my colleague, really, I think all of us have the utmost confidence in our WRC. And to see us being raked through the mud, no pun intended, it was unfortunate, but I'm like, this has got to be much ado about nothing type of thing. And so it's either into the interceptor or into your basements. And so it sounds like those 14 communities benefit from what we're doing. And you just mentioned GWK is the largest in the nation, probably in the world. So again, I just want to lay kudos to all of you for everything that you do to keep us feeling confident that, you know, under a Jim Nash WRC, this isn't happening. So just again, to highlight that for the public. Thank you, Chair.
I appreciate that, and I can tell you that I've never been with a bunch of more dedicated people in this office, and I am just so proud of the people that work for me and for Oakland County. It's just a wonderful office. And again, what we do is well regarded in the industry in Michigan, and you know, Eagle comes to us for advice sometimes, so it's always a nice thing to see. Thank you. Okay, just, you know, in the end, our goal is long-term reliability, environmental stewardship, and fiscal responsibility. Every project and partnership is aimed at protecting public health, reducing costs, and ensuring future generations inherit safe, resilient, and water and sewer systems. That's what I'm here for.
Commissioner Spiz has a comment or a question. You good? Okay.
Just one follow-up.
Okay.
You're the only employee that the county is responsible for. Everyone else is paid through another channel.
Correct. Yeah, there's only one employee in the WRC, that's Jim Nash, who's paid by the general fund. The remainder of the employees are paid out of the drain equipment fund, which is our internal service fund, which is then, it's how we recoup costs through revenue to our customer communities to pay those.
Okay, and is that in good shape?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions for Water Resources? Commissioner Long.
Are we going to do budget questions?
You can ask questions about anything you want.
Okay, sorry, I put my mic on. Thank you. Let me put my glasses on still. So page 179, line item 731458 is professional services. And it goes, was that one year? Oh, let me wait. 50,000 that we spent last year, or this year, 50,413, and it's recommended for 210,000 for 26. What is going to be included in that professional service line item going up so much? And then I see it's going back down again in 27, 28.
Yes, I can speak to that. That particular line item was a request by our office to fiscal services to fund an analysis of all the dams in Oakland County. We've done that periodically over the years, and so that earmark, so to speak, is to cover those costs, for us to review all the records up in Lansing, and if we have to, make some field visits if we see anything concerning to make sure our dams are safe.
So we are doing going to assess all the dams in Oakland County with this contract?
Yeah, all the ones that we have a record of, that has a record at the state, we're going to review all the records. And again, if we see something concerning, we'll make the field visit, we'll do follow-ups with the owners, things like that, just to stay on top of it on behalf of Oakland County.
Well, that is a good thing. That is a good spending of money. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Spiz has a budget question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Nash, good to see all you, by the way. I have just a general basic question first, because we have the budget item for general fund, general purpose for the Water Resource Commission, right? Which is where you're the only employee of, but then we have the sewage disposal system and the water sewer trust. What is included in each one of those? You know, what is the general roles and responsibility that you're trying to cover in those budgets?
Correct. So the general fund covers general expenditures that are subject to the office or statutory requirements that the office conducts on behalf of the county. So soil erosion is a good example of that one in general fund. Drain equipment fund is where we have the internal services. That's where we charge most things that we then allocate back out through labor. The 5-7 funds, those are the O&M funds that we contract with the communities through O&M contracts, and the water and sewer trust fund. So everything that gets allocated back out to all the systems runs through the 5-7 funds. Same thing with the 5-8. Everything goes into the 5-8 funds, and then it's allocated back out to the SDS systems, which are the large sewer systems. Evergreen Farmington was one, Clinton, Oakland, Huron Rouge.
you threw out a couple acronyms, which I think I understand what they mean, but.
Sorry.
I'm just trying to see which one goes into which budget, right? So, because I can only see what's on the title for the fund, the sewage disposal system, so the SDS, right? That's which is that the Farmington system?
Is that the 5.8?
It's 5.8.
5.8, yeah, so that's the large system funds, the SDS
I don't know the
funds.
difference between 5.8s and 5.7s.
Huron Ridge and Clinton, Oakland.
And then water and sewer trust is the 5.7 then, I'm assuming, right?
Correct, 5.7, yep.
Okay. Do either one of those systems have a fund balance by themselves that's not shown here? Or, because I'm sure you don't operate at a perfect budget every year, so there's money somewhere.
No, so 5.7 funds are then all allocated out at the end of the year to each of the individual system funds. So each system fund has its own reserves, its own fund balance.
Yeah, how much are we talking?
Millions, like.
I know millions, but
Yeah.
what's?
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. So my question was for easy numbers. Let's say we have 100 million in there. Who manages that money?
The Treasury.
Our treasurer office
Correct.
does that. Okay.
Correct.
So which kind of leads to another question, because I think there was investments in here.
Mhm.
So the treasurer's office also invests those monies. Do we know?
That's correct.
Those numbers aren't included in his report anywhere, right? Or are they separate? There's only in here, not in his investment line item.
Their system in the treasurer's office takes the allocation of investment to how much money you have in the investment pool. So the investment pool is all the money the county has together, and then they allocate that out. If water and sewer has 15% of the money in there, they'll get 15% of that investment. So those investments are in each area.
It's broken up.
Yes, yes.
More on percentages than,
Yes.
because they take all the cash and invest it in the same funds. They don't have the Water Resource Commissioner funds in a specific accounts.
No,
versus
they
the county funds and
pool them
other
all
accounts.
together
It's all
with
pooled.
their,
Okay.
yep.
That's what I was hoping would happen. I just wanted to make sure that I understood it properly. All right, then I do have some other simple questions, basic questions. Because Commissioner Nash, I think you made a comment about general fund. That's some of it. So I know if you could look at the general fund, general purpose from budget, I think we bring in a revenue of $2.8 million we're looking for this year. So that's coming out of the general fund, if I understand this correctly, to support the administration purposes of Commissioner Nash and whatever else is included in that, like the soil erosion permits.
Yes.
If I understand it correctly, okay. Now, I believe I saw it in one of the other two funds also, yeah. The sewage disposal fund, which I think is the 57, there's a general reimbursement general fund too. It's only 159,000, but, so we're putting money from the general fund into that program too?
So here's how it works is there's certain programs that in our operation where the expenses are collected in the general fund and then allocated back out to the system funds for reimbursement. So you'll see the expenses in the general fund, and you'll see on the revenue side a reimbursement general. That's the other system funds reimbursing the general fund for the services provided based on the allocation. It's very complicated.
I'm not even gonna ask, because I think I understood it, but it's.
I tried to make it as simple as I could, I'm sorry.
Way too much
It's
time,
hard.
which we don't have here today. Okay, I think I had a couple more, but I'll stand down for now.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions for these folks?
I do have more.
You have one more?
I do have more, just going back, focus on the water and sewer trust, right? Which is where we charge, or we provide services to our municipalities and we charge them for those services. And looking at the rates going out from 26, it looks like about a 4.5% increase. If I did the math correctly, if I'm on page 361 for anybody who wants to follow, sorry. 361, right, if you look at sewage disposal service revenue, right, on line 632086.
Yep.
Right, this year we're at 53.2.
Correct.
We're going to 55.6 in 2026, which rough math, about 4.5%.
Correct.
And then the out years, we go to 3% and 3%. I think it's 3.3 and then it's 3% flat. So what drives those increases for us? Is it
So
Salaries, is it?
those are the costs that are charged to us either by GLEWA, Great Lakes Water Authority, for treatment costs and transport to get there, or it's one of our treatment plants charging the system for the treatment services that they provide under contract.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was our revenue number, but if I go back on page 363 and I look at line item 731724, sewage disposal service expenses, that's at 20 million.
Correct.
I'm sure there's other things that go in there, but how do we go from 55 million or 20 million to 55 million? From a expense to revenue, right? That's a huge.
So it's how the charges come out, right? So these are charges to the 5.7 systems. The 5.8 systems have different charges that get charged back through the 5.8 funds. It's only a portion of it, I believe.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, just the gap is what my big question is. I understand there's probably other costs that get into there, right, from an expense standpoint.
Right.
It gets rolled into the final number, but even if you go down to 732,109, which is the water purchase, right, which is 20.9 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and if you go up to the charges and the revenue, that's at 42 million. So that's like double. So we're bringing in double of what we're expensing. I'm sure that's not true, but.
Right.
It's just,
I don't think
so there's a lot
line up.
there's something else that's making that other 50% up, right?
There is, and I apologize because this is a roll up of everything that we do system by system. So I don't look at the aggregate. I'm really sorry that I can't give you a specific answer on that question, but I assure you that when we look at the systems, one of the main drivers is water purchases, water costs, right? When you look at the water system, you set the rates. So then our expenses are a very small part of that on top.
I hear you, and that's why I'm just, we're talking real money now. We're up in 20, 30, $50 million. I mean, you guys have one of the bigger budgets of the entire county. So just trying to understand what that makeup is, and maybe you can provide it after this, just an overall breakdown of that 42 million and 55 million. And about pie graphs, fine. I love graphs. Everybody here knows that. It makes it simple for many of us. Because trying to go through some of these numbers, it's going to be difficult to get there, right?
Right. We spend a lot of our time with the individual systems because each one has its own budget, its own rate setting methodology, how much water sold, how much is purchased, what the averages are, and so forth. So this is a roll up. So again, we look at them singularity rather than the roll up aggregate, but we can get you a discussion on how these numbers are what they mean.
I do appreciate that.
So, yeah.
I have to make two questions left. One, there's a line item here on page 363 for transfer to reserve. So we budget to transfer $1 million to reserve every year. And just why $1 million? If we have 100 million, throwing that round number in, why do I need to transfer $1 million every year into reserve?
Yeah, those are for like our CIPs, our major maintenance projects.
Yeah, these are transfers out of operating into the reserve funds for capital projects or for major maintenance projects.
So it's like a rainy day fund for us?
It gets held in equity, so
Right.
that can be used for those
Major maintenance for those
And then it's drawn
munis
down.
that we're operating at. Yeah, okay. And it's just a round million, because that just threw me off too. Being a simple million is.
Yes.
If it was $1,001,352, I probably wouldn't ask the question. But when it's a round million, I'm like,
It's what we anticipate for major maintenance and repairs and construction projects. So they have long-term capital investment plan that anticipates all the major maintenance for the various systems, so that $1 million gets transferred into the reserves as part of the equity until it's spent on actual projects.
okay, thank you. I had another question, but now I don't remember what it is, so I'll move on, thank you. I'll figure it out later. I'll remember it in 20 minutes.
Going once, going twice. If there's no other questions for water resources today, thanks very much for coming in, folks, and we appreciate the really hard, good work that you do.
I appreciate that. Anytime you have a question, never hesitate to give us a ring. I probably can't answer it, but these guys can, so that's what matters. Thanks now.
Yeah, I spent almost an hour with one of their engineers last
Yeah, I could understand. Yeah, that was neat too, with the December, whatever, and then the river. Didn't it say something about Red River? Not Red Run. Red Run. That's where it drains to the state system. Rather than back.
Hi, everybody. We're going to start our fourth budget hearing for today. It's the probate court budget hearing, and with us today we have Ed Hutton, and would you please introduce your help?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for allowing us to present here today. I'm Edward Hutton, as was already mentioned, the probate court administrator. Chris Bujak is here. She is the court business manager. And she's going to be helping me here today. Judge Callahan, our chief judge, was unable to make it. She gives she's very sorry that she's not able to make it. She had a scheduling conflict that was impossible to move. She wanted to be here. She couldn't possibly be here. So unfortunately, you guys are stuck with me. I'm going to do my best. What's that? Yeah, a lot more questions. Yeah, I will do the best that I can. So the probate court, our jurisdiction for the probate court, we do have some slides here. I don't know if we're going to go through them because some of them I didn't create, and I can't give explanations for them. So I'm going to skip past these now. But what is the probate court? Our jurisdiction, we cover large and small estates. Estates would be what generally people think of when they think of the probate court and somebody passes away. An estate would be somebody that didn't have a will when they passed away, that's considered to have passed away intestate. Also wills, somebody that passed away with a will, that would be probated through our court. And then also trusts, and you might be thinking, well, I have a trust and I was told that doesn't go through the probate court, which is correct. But if there is any issues with the trust, if any of the beneficiaries of the trust want to, if they disagree on the legitimacy of the trust or the way the trust is being distributed, what the trustee is doing, then it could end up back in the probate court, and that falls into our jurisdiction. Also, guardianships and conservatorships are heard by the probate judges. Guardianships and conservatorships are for incapacitated individuals, guardianships being, of course, medical decisions and placement decisions for the individual, conservatorships being financial decisions for the individual, management of their assets and income. A lot of times those are filed together for an individual. When those come in, a petitioner would file them. The probate court would appoint an attorney for them. Well, first the GAL would go out and assess the situation and report back to the judge. If it is contested, the individual doesn't feel that they need a guardian or a conservator, then the court would appoint an attorney to represent them, and then there would be a contested hearing held, in which case, after which the judge would make a decision. Developmentally disabled, that's another type of guardianship. It's just that the individual under the guardianship fits a different requirements as far as their incapacity. Developmental disability is something that manifests before the age of 22. It's considered to be indefinite, and it substantially limits some life functions. And then mental health commitments. We hear petitions for an individual to receive mental health treatment. Those petitions come in on an emergency basis. They're heard right away. If the judge grants the petition, the individual is taken to common ground for an assessment. They do an assessment within 24 hours. If the physician doing the assessment finds that they do not require hospitalization, they're released immediately. If they find that they do need hospitalization, a certification from that doctor is completed. They are then hospitalized for up to 7 days pending a hearing. And they would be appointed an attorney for that hearing. And then something that's going on in probate court right now, this is actually a pretty exciting time as far as exciting as probate stuff gets, I guess. We're going through a transition into my file. I feel like this is my 7th time doing this meeting, and I feel like every time I've come, I've said, we're on the cusp of going to my file. We have been doing paper files all this time, And when I started 7 years ago, I thought, I can't wait to get rid of all this paper. Why do we have all this paper? It's so cumbersome. It takes up so much room. It's so inefficient. It's so expensive. And we were always so close to doing it. Well, on June 12th, we did it. We started MyFile. And it's going to be great. We're working the bumps out right now, which is to be expected. There hasn't been anything, it hasn't been worse than expected or anything like that. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of learning. It's a very new way of doing things, and we've had to reimagine all of our processes in the court, but it was well overdue, and it's really going to help out and make our court more efficient in the future. So that's really exciting. And then with that, we've needed to open an e-services office to allow the public to come in and to be able to file electronically in case they don't have the means to do so, if they don't have a computer, or if they just need some help, they can come in and use our e-services office. Right now, that just consists of some desks and some computers that we had, but we are in the process of planning out and building that office out to fit that exact need. So we're really excited about that. That's a rundown of the probate court. I'm willing to go right into questions if anybody has any. And I'll let Chairperson Markham.
I will open it up to the committee, and I'll call on Commissioner Gershenson.
Thank you. Couple questions. Well, first of all, we get a lot of public comment about judges on probate. And I can assure you that we don't know the facts of a case, and so we don't, very often it's a disgruntled child or somebody that didn't get what they thought they were going to get. So we don't get involved in that. But the part that really does concern me about probate is the report of judges being disrespectful to the people that come in front of them. We hear it pretty regularly. I want to know that it's a policy of the probate court to treat everyone with dignity. It's a very emotional time for people, right or wrong. And to hear that some of our judges, and it's hearsay, but I have heard it from some pretty reputable people, that the residents are not always treated with respect. I also want to address the court-appointed lawyers, because is that a set pool? Do they appoint the same lawyers? Is it an open pool? What is the opportunity for all lawyers in the community?
It is an open pool, and it is a pool that we would like to expand 10 times over if we could. Honestly, right now we're having a hard time recruiting individuals into that position, and it's just mostly based on what we can pay them. The attorneys that are taking appointments right now are the ones that are just diehard probate attorneys. They can probably go make more income if they took appointments for the Indigent Defense Fund, for instance.
Well, maybe that's something we could talk about, because we do hear that the same attorneys keep getting recirculated, and some of those attorneys have had complaints lodged against them. Again, I'm not getting into the details of it. I'm just telling you what we hear, and we hear it repeatedly. So I'm bringing it to you. I would have brought it to the Chief Judge. I did mention it to Chief Judge of the Circuit Court, because I have reached out to the probate before and haven't always had a satisfactory answer. But I want to say that I want to know that there's a policy on behavior of the judge or the attitude of the judge towards all clients, no matter how obnoxious or repetitive it is. And this business about recirculating the same lawyers, some of whom have had complaints lodged against them.
I wholeheartedly agree with you about treating everybody with dignity and respect. I believe that's a judicial canon, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is. That's why I was concerned.
So, absolutely, absolutely. And if there's ever a specific instance that we can address, it's hard anytime somebody comes and, just says, generally this has happened, but a specific instance that we can backtrack down, we can work with the chief judge and try to resolve that if it is the case.
The majority of the hearings that probate court holds are public hearings, and they are available for you to review over video. If you would ever hear a complaint and you'd like to see what actually occurred, all of our courtrooms are video courtrooms, and you can come and actually view the video. You would come to the court business office. There's a small form that someone fills out, and we can set up a same-day request for you. So you're welcome, and those are open. And as far as the defense attorney fees, we have been repeatedly, we have brought up the issue of defense attorney, right? The Michigan Indigent Defense Commission rates are not applied to the probate attorneys. And so the probate attorneys do make significantly less, and we have seen a diminished pool in the availability of attorneys. We would love to attract and retain new lawyers, but we're just not getting them because our rates aren't comparable.
So do those rates come out of the general fund? And where do those, so have you ever put in a request for a raise in that area?
We have. We were granted this year, and thank you to Brent and Brian. We worked very carefully to try and move money around. We were granted for our guardian ad litems, because we appoint guardians and we appoint defense counsel. We are able to raise the rates for our guardians, but we were not able to for our defense counsel.
Okay, well, we should keep that on the front burner, because it's important to a lot of us. And, I haven't been really brought up to date on the salaries, but it certainly is something to look into.
Sure. And you said guardians. I just want to correct. It's guardian ad litems.
Yeah.
They have a similar name, but very, very different roles. And absolutely, we would welcome that discussion. It is important. We would like to grow that pool, and it keeps getting smaller. And it's actually getting close to the point where we might not have enough to even handle the cases that we have, which is scary to think. And in which case, I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, maybe that's the time to have a little bit more open discussion about the salary issue.
Yes, please. Yes, we would love to have that conversation.
The committee that you guys report to us through is LAGO, right? Legislative Affairs?
Is that correct?
No. Public Health and Safety?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I would say we need to talk to the chair of that committee and start this conversation.
Okay.
It may not happen in this year's budget, but Commissioner Gershensen's right. We are all hearing that it's the same pool of lawyers, and you're telling us it's getting smaller. Mm-hmm. To me, we have all these different courts, and we're paying lawyers over in this one a certain amount, and we're paying lawyers over in this one a different amount. And to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense unless it makes sense for a reason I don't know anything about. But it seems to me that you guys are kind of caught watching some of the other changes that we've done in some of the other courts the last couple of years, and you weren't pulled into that. So I definitely think it's something we should bring to the attention of Public Health and Safety and start that conversation.
That's completely accurate, and couldn't agree with you more, and would love to do that. We will get that ball rolling.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it, Commissioner?
Yep.
Commissioner Erickson Galt.
Thank you, Chair. The complaints we've been hearing recently are more directed at attorneys that are appointed as trustees or co-trustees. Is that a different appointment system from somebody, for instance, who's a guardian ad litem?
Yes, that would be probably our professional guardian. Individuals willing to take on professional guardians. Is that?
No, for like if you have a trust,
okay,
and the trustee is a family member, and for whatever reason the court decides that they need to appoint a co-trustee, or they remove the family member as trustee and appoint an attorney or other, perhaps an accounting professional to be the trustee for the trust.
Okay, yeah, I don't think for a trustee we have an actual dedicated pool. That's just going to be something that's worked out by the judge and the parties involved on the case as far as who that's going to be. If ultimately the judge chooses a willing attorney, that's going to be some willing attorney that the judge decides, declares as qualified for that role. It's not an active pool or list of attorneys for trustees.
Yeah, that's probably something that should be included in that conversation, because that's, from my recollection, from the complaints that we've gotten recently, it's about the trustees, not specifically guardian ad litems.
Okay.
You know? And I get what you're saying about being a GAL is it's not only poorly paid, but it's often can be very stressful and not necessarily the most rewarding work. So
Sure, absolutely. And trustees is going to be a little bit different because it's probably going to be paid from the trust. You're probably talking about a situation where there are funds in the estate or in the trust, in which case that appointed trustee would be compensated from that. So it's a little bit different conversation than what we were talking about as far as the appointed attorneys and guardian ad litem.
which is why the conflicts arise, because suddenly the beneficiaries of that trust are questioning every dime that's going to the attorney that is acting as a trustee. No matter how professional and above board that attorney's being, they're going to be looking at that.
And in every situation, the ideal circumstance is that family is involved. It should always be a family member that's a guardian, always a family member that's a conservator. It's some unfortunate circumstance that took place, some situation that led to this individual that nobody knows, whether it's guardian or trustee or whatever the circumstance, but that led to them being put in that position. But I don't think you'll find anybody in the probate world that would disagree with that it should be family first at all turns of the road.
Okay, anybody else? Commissioner Smith Charles.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just curious, and it could be a CFO committee or team question, is, you know, your fiscal, I'm just in the presentation on slide 2, where it says budget versus actual. And again, call me novice, but, mine looks different. Oh, revenues, sorry.
Is that not it?
Revenues.
Okay. That one? Is that it?
North.
The other way?
And I really, keep going.
Other direction. Okay.
It's like right after your cover page. Really, I just wanted to check and see, like, how do you end up to the dollar on these things? Like, I understand zero-based budgeting and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just like, it seems so hard to believe that we adopted 518,623, and then, amended, okay. So the orange and the blue bars being lined up like that, this is the one I'm looking at.
That's the amended and the adopted. So if their adopted budget did not change, it will stay the same as the amended. The line across the top is the actuals.
Actuals, okay. That's where I was like, it's just too good to be true that, numbers just line up like that so well. So thank you for pointing out the green bar at the top. I overlooked it with
That is our revenues, and our revenues were actually higher than anticipated.
Do you know why?
Increased use.
A lot of baby boomers dying off.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that it, Commissioner? Anybody else? I know Commissioner Spiz is over there with his robot arm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one question. Talk to me about visiting judges. Because I know Circuit came in here and had a conversation about visiting judges, and I see you're looking for additional funds in 2026. So what is the judge situation right now in probate?
Hopefully, we won't need additional funds in 2026, and we historically have not used a visiting judge a whole lot. We are right now because we have a judge that's out on extended leave. We're utilizing 2 visiting judges to cover that position. Hopefully, a decision is made on that whole situation in the near future, and we'll have some direction and know what we need to do as far as that position. But the extra funds that we've requested are to address that situation and for visiting judges covering that.
We do have a hope that once that is resolved, we can continue with having a visiting judge for our mental health docket. I believe that we have seen a large increase in those cases, and because they have to be handled so quickly, similar to the PPOs in circuit court, we'd like to have a visiting judge that would assist with those. And the state released their study that did show that we were slightly underjudged, and we have potentially, we could fill some of that with visiting judges, just like circuit court.
That's correct. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions for probate? Yes, Commissioner Smith Charles again.
I do apologize for the second try here. And I didn't ask anybody 2 weeks ago, so oh well, I just woke up, I guess. But was there anything that your department wanted but was told you couldn't have? Just asking.
I want to say that the county executive and his team and the board and what we're very, very appreciative of what we got. I understand that money doesn't grow on trees. I think there were some things that we asked for, some that we expected to be told no. Some of the evening out of the MIDC funds, it's a huge amount. It's a huge amount. I feel like we got to ask, and somebody has to say no, and we have to figure out how to work that out. And that was very reasonable. What we did receive, we greatly appreciate. We received most of what we were asking for. They're very sympathetic to our situation, the transition that we're in, our e-services office that we need so much. I definitely am not here today to lament about anything that we were told no about. More than anything, I'm here to say thank you, and that we appreciate everybody understanding our situation and where we're at and helping us out. Everybody's been really great. So I think if there's anything that I could look to in the future that may be something that we need, because and I'm to blame for this. I take all the blame for this because my file, the transition was so close for so long, and it took several years before it actually happened. I didn't want to ask for additional staff, even though we desperately needed it, because I didn't know how much the situation was going to change once we transitioned to my file. Was it going to make us so much more efficient that if I had asked for staff and we'd received it and then we didn't need it, and then I lose credibility, and there's resources that could have went somewhere else where it's more needed in the county, and I didn't want to create that situation. I didn't realize it was going to take us as long as it would to start the transition. But it's possible that once we figure out exactly where our efficiencies lie with my file, that we're going to need some more positions. I don't know that it's a huge number of positions, but we're gonna know once the dust settles on this. It's just been a couple of months, so we're not as efficient with it as we're going to get, and I know that. So by next year, I think we're going to have a feel for that, and that might be an ask in the future, but I've really held off on that just to see what happens with my file and where we stand afterwards.
I think some of that will also be dictated. Some of that will be dictated by the filing trends that we see. On one of the slides that are included in your packet, you'll see like supplemental petitions have been continuing to grow, and the filings have been continuing to grow, and it's just a fact of life that as our population is aging and our baby boomers are aging, that generates cases in the probate court for many times. So more filings, e-filing will help them handle it more efficiently, but there'll be a point where they could have to ask for more staff based on the filing.
Commissioner Gershenson.
Yeah, I appreciate your thoughtfulness in not coming to us before you knew what the situation was. And next year also, you're going to have a new judge. O'Brien's retiring. And hopefully the situation with the judge that's on leave will be resolved. So you should, your staff should be a bit replenished in 26, hopefully.
Hopefully. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, we're looking forward to that.
Anybody else? Comments or questions? Go
I
ahead.
think we would just like to say thank you too. We were granted money to do some courtroom improvements that we can use towards the security recommendations from our sheriff's department, just like circuit court, to just call that out. Thank you very much to the county and to our funding unit for that. Our judges very much appreciate that.
Yeah, we really can't say thank you enough. We've been treated very well. So thank you. We're also upgrading some of our recording systems in our courtrooms. Much needed, very appreciated. So thank you for the work that you all do. I can only begin to imagine how difficult it is when there's so many needs and such a big county with so much going on, limited funds. I say all the time that money and time does not grow on trees. There's not an infinite amount, and you have to determine where it should go and what is needed most. And I know that's difficult. I've watched a whole bunch of these hearings the past couple of weeks. And I can see how thoughtful all of you are and the questions that you ask and how hard you're working to make sure that these funds are allocated where they're needed most. So thank you so much for the work that you do.
Well, thank you, Mr. Hutton. We do take this seriously. We do.
Quite refreshing,
It
your
shows.
comments. Very much appreciated.
Yeah, I remember it was like 2 years ago, you guys all came with some pictures, and they were terrible. And it's great to hear that has all been resolved, so.
Yeah, those funds are going, if I'm not mistaken, but they have kicked all the way along and are going into our e-services office. So that's the funding. As our need evolved and changed, when my file actually went into place, we were able to kind of repurpose the same funds rather than re-outfitting that office. That's going to be our e-services office, which is a great resource to have for the community. To be able to offer that is fantastic. And I hear nothing but good things from the people that are using it, that it's there.
Well, thanks for coming in today. I think it was a great presentation, so.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
Thanks.
Have a good afternoon.
So we have a public comment time here. So if there's anybody from the public who wishes to address this committee at this time, the mic is at the end of the row here. Hello.
Hello, hi.
Please state your name and where you reside.
My name is Mary Regal, and I live in Ferndale. I'm here today in my capacity with Lighthouse, a social service agency that provides emergency shelter, supportive services and programming for families and youth, food assistance, and affordable housing developments for Oakland County's most vulnerable residents. In partnership with the county, we will soon break ground on a much-needed expansion of our family emergency shelter. The county's home and SLFRF, that is such a mouthful, ARPA funds will support the capital construction of a new building that will more than double the amount of available non-congregate beds in the county for families with children in need. And this gives them dignity and independence for each household. In 2024, Lighthouse provided 403 individuals, 75% of them children, shelter for over 24,000 nights. And we helped transition 84% into stable housing. With the addition of the new rooms in the new building, we will be able to help 858 individuals, that's 624 children, with over 52,000 nights of shelter, while working to help them secure a future stable home. Families with children are the fastest growing subpopulation of homelessness in our country, and we see this locally. We need to respond with adequate, immediate, and longer-term solutions for this vulnerable population. This growth will demand a dedicated workforce, and our workforce needs more support. And I think those are comments that we've heard throughout today's session. I'm here today in coordination and partnership with Hope Shelters and Community Housing Network to request an investment into our human capital, our staff, and the anticipated new staff that will be needed to support the real and unmet needs in our communities. I'm sure you're familiar with the acronym ALICE, Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed, which describes households that make more than the federal poverty level but less than the basic cost of living in the county. 34% of Oakland County residents meet the ALICE threshold, meaning they struggle to afford basics: medicine, rent, healthcare, food. In just the last month, our food pantries saw a 20% increase in demand for food in service. We are already experiencing the national economic uncertainty that is coming home to roost here in Oakland County. A dedicated allocation from the fund balance will improve our ability to attract and retain talent, thereby strengthening our collective response to those facing homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have some forms here, information about our work. And I will remain for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a few other names here. You're coming forward. Okay. Are you Elizabeth?
I am.
Okay. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you. I know this has been a really long afternoon for all of you. My name is Elizabeth Kelly. I live in Holly, and I am the interim executive director at Hope Shelters. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we do. We at Hope Shelters are masters of doing the impossible. Our organization runs 2 shelters serving people with complex needs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We're open during the holidays, and we were open every day during the pandemic. We're open during blizzards, heat waves, and pretty much just every day. And the reason we operate every day of the year and around the clock is because we have amazing staff. Our staff work hard for little pay, and many of our staff are receiving SNAP benefits themselves, just like the people that they serve. So who benefits from the heavy lift that the staff does? Obviously, the guests who stay at Hope and work with our navigators to secure housing through one of our excellent community partners like Community Housing Network or Lighthouse. But more broadly, Oakland County's community benefits greatly from what Hope and my partner agencies, Community Housing Network and Lighthouse, do every day. We give people a place to regroup and get connected with services like primary care and behavioral health. It takes skilled staff to know all of the resources when they're dealing with complex folks. We feed, clothe, and encourage people to come to the shelter who feel forgotten, but actually hold jobs in the community. One of them probably checked you out at the supermarket last week. They have a job, but they can't afford an apartment in Oakland County. And this is also happening to our staff at the same time. When you look at funding the resources in our county, please know that Hope, Lighthouse, and Community Housing Network have been there. We're working to help the most vulnerable, but we need your help. Oakland County gains a lot simply because we exist and help those who are unhoused find a path to home and out of the emergency rooms, out of the shadows of places not meant for habitation, and back into the workforce. Please tell me if you can run an organization of 35 staff around the clock at 2 locations every day of the year for $1.2 million. That's an unsustainable bargain. It's time for Oakland County to recognize the value that we bring as part of the county infrastructure. Homelessness is increasing, and we need your financial support because that's what it takes to make the impossible possible. Thank you.
Thank you. I have George Weber or Robert Boyle. Okay.
Hello, I'm Robert Boyle. I live in Grosse Pointe Woods. I hope you won't hold that against me, but I work in Troy at Community Housing Network, and Community Housing Network is Oakland County's largest permanent supportive housing provider. We were one of the OCLBA development partners that Jill Robinson talked about earlier, and I'm here today with my colleagues at Hope and Lighthouse to ask you to expand our partnership with you so we can help more people who are homeless or facing housing instability. Homelessness and housing instability are reaching crisis proportions throughout the nation, and I'm heartened to hear that you've addressed that at this meeting today because you recognize just how important these issues are right now. At this time, you know, CHN is working hard on about a $17 million budget. About $12.5 million of that goes directly into the community, but we're making sure kids, families, folks with disabilities, and other vulnerable populations are living in affordable homes. We're out every night on the streets to get people out of the cold and connect them to the mental health services and other supports they need to get their lives back on track. Currently, 77% of our funding at Community Housing Network is federally sourced. And I don't think I have to tell any of you how comfortable we feel about that fact. And the thing that's interesting about that is, and these are national statistics, only 1 in 4 people who qualify for HUD services actually get them because the program is under-resourced. So that translates to people having to wait a long time to get an Elizabeth shelter. That translates to people having to wait extended periods of time to, you know, get into a home. And, you know, right now, as the cost of living as well as the cost of new building gets higher, more support or gap funding is desperately needed for affordable housing. And you know, in addition, and Elizabeth outlined this, we're an affluent county, or you are, but you need service employees. You need people to work the stores and make businesses successful and give people the services they want to make living in Oakland County one of the best places in the country. And I think that that's all what you're shooting for. And that's what we are too. So we're here to help. We want to partner with the county. The need is compelling. So please, please, please help us out. Thank you for your time.
Okay. And I have one more name, and that is George Weber. He left? Okay. You know him because he's from Commerce. Okay. Is there anybody else that wants to address public comment? Seeing none, I will close public comment at this time. And is there any other business to come before this committee before we reconvene tomorrow at 1 o'clock? Seeing none, I will adjourn this meeting.